All right, everybody, it's Chris with Drop Dice. So we were having a private hangout, and then we decided that the material might be better as a live hangout, because this is stuff that we've talked about doing on the channel for a number of different things, and we just haven't gotten around to it. So maybe this is going to be a good example of kind of taking a system, homebrewing it, and kind of making it a little bit more suited to your players and your style. This is how we personally do it. You may do it a different way through email or whatever, but we tend to like having direct conversation like this. If you've never tried it, I'd suggest it. So tonight's discussion happens to be about Dragon Ball Z, or Dragon Ball Victory, as we've been playing on the channel. There have been some things that we've come up with and we've kind of had some questions about, and we're trying to make the game feel a little bit more like the show. Because we've already kind of started this discussion, we're just going to continue where we left off. Some of the stuff may be a little weird coming into it because we're kind of in the middle of a discussion right now. But we can do a little recap on the subject that we happen to be discussing right now before we get too much further, which I'll toss it over to Murdoch to kind of explain where we noticed an issue and what we're trying to think of as different options and things like that.
Hold on, I'm actually going to link the Cream game directly into this video so that he can see it.
Okay.
So if you give me a minute.
Mm-hmm. And as well, if we do get any viewers online, the Q&A is, of course, online. I decided to do this the cheap old way instead of doing it live on YouTube, just to make it easy on myself, because setting up through YouTube's kind of a pain. Of course, I announced the viewer thing, and then we get a viewer afterward.
Did we?
For a moment.
I also, Chris, if you don't mind,
yeah.
I actually extended a personal invite to the Cream Games. I don't know his actual name. That if he'd like to join us and clarify,
he goes by Regalia also.
Regalia.
Yeah, I think I saw that.
That if he wants to come in and clarify and talk with us, I extended the invite to him because I assumed you wouldn't mind. And having a creator of content on your channel is probably, great, especially if we're having these discussions. So, basically, to give people an understanding of what we're talking about, for those of you that don't know, I'm the narrator, game master, dungeon master, whatever you want to call it, story master. We chose narrator for Dragon Ball, of Dragon Ball Victory here on Drop Dice. We encountered a problem last week. So in Dragon Ball Z, fights happen in one of two ways. The ways that these happen, I've broken down into the Raccoon fight and the Frieza fight, because they're relatively close in time period. It's a very easy visual to see. The Raccoon fight is done by Gohan, Krillin, and Vegeta. And they kind of fight together at the same time tactfully, where Vegeta tells Gohan and Krillin to fight. Or with Guldo, Gohan and Krillin fight Guldo at the same time, trying to be tactful. On the flip side, they have Frieza, who he's all-powerful, he's big. The Z-Warriors and Vegeta at the time know that they can't stop him by themselves. Essentially what it is one character after another fights Frieza, loses, sits on the sidelines, gets healed, gets better, eventually gets back into the fight again, whatnot, until Goku shows up, powers up, and defeats Frieza. Kind of. With that being said, last week we had a fight on Dragon Ball Victory. Last week? 2 weeks ago, I think, because we did the OVA last week, right? 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Chris, you're muted.
Yep. The not last week, but the previous one, because we did the OVA.
So, OVA was hilarious, by the way. Go check it out. I totally did not link him to the Drop Dice channel on the thing. So
I was going to say, if you want to link him to the actual conversation, you could just copy the link that I sent you guys, and that should let him into this one.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah.
But don't share that with everybody, because that means anybody can get in on the chat.
That's just not cool, bro. That's not cool.
Not for this particular discussion.
We don't need, people to argue back. Fuck them.
So in any event, it is difficult, we'll say, as the game master to cue players. Hold on. To cue players as to what type of fight this should be. Now, in the game, now I'm just going to give you a point of reference for the game. For the fight we're talking about was Lieutenant Plum, or Jesus, Chris.
I know. It's my fault. Peaches.
Lieutenant Peaches, thank you, under General Plum, or Captain Plum, one of the two. I'll have to check my notes, but fought them last week.
I think it was Commander Plum.
Commander, whatever. Of military ranks, pick one that's not a lieutenant, above lieutenant. Okay. So Lieutenant
Colonel Plum.
Peach, shut the fuck up. So Lieutenant Peaches fought the crew, and Murrah Danshore, Tom's character, decided that she was going to go first, and straight up got knocked the fuck out in one turn, pretty much. I think half your hit points were done in one shot, Tom.
Mm-hmm.
So that being the case, I love when Tom talks because then it's just his big head.
Yeah,
And
I sit way closer to my monitor than everyone else.
I know, I love it, dude. Please, just...
I wear weaker glasses when I'm at my computer at home because it preserves my eyesight as much as possible, so I sit closer to my monitor.
Can you do us a favor? Can you just like lean back and rub your nips a little bit? It is late night. Oh, yes. It's like you work at Comcast.
Yes.
So, and then Chris, in typical not Dragon Ball fashion, we'll get there, doesn't let his friend die or get beaten merciless. Chris begins to charge an attack. Chris's character, Tyrannus, begins to charge an attack. When charging this attack, Peaches, took it as an aggressive move and attacked him as well. Unbeknownst to them, they were using an ability in the game called Fission, which allows multiple attackers or multiple copies of the same thing to attack. With that being the case, he was able to split off, and I as a GM DM of some experience, knew that this was a possibility because this is a new type of system, and in all campaigns you fight as a group, not one-on-one. So I wanted to kind of make sure that this was a bad guy sufficiently prepared to fight the party. In a feeling of my own to prepare the party, I tried to send a message that didn't quite make it through storytelling, unfortunately, that this was a fight that they should fight alone, kind of like Frieza. That they would be able to take it down after what mechanic in the game called tension was built up, that the Arcosian, Pyre, Jeremy's character, would be able to go to final form, and I was going to showcase him as Pyre, being strong and being this Arcosian. I even, threw in other stuff at the end to try to highlight his character a little bit more, but this didn't come through because the enemy seemed so overwhelming in the beginning. So my issue as the narrator, or one of the many apparently, was that my way to do this, because tiers of power in this game are so very strong, was to give him more experience than the fighters had, but keep him at tier 1. So that way, the Arcosian, what's your final form's power level, power tier of power?
Final form.
I think it's 3 or 4.
4.
So 4. Which means you succeed on 5s and above or something like that?
It's still not enough.
What do you succeed on?
I have to check the book in. I forget that. I've never gone to my final form, so I don't remember off the top of my head.
I'll check it. I have the book open.
How dare you?
I have the book open also. I was just
I'm in
doing
the
other
tier
stuff.
section currently.
Yeah.
I'm in the tier section as well.
Yeah.
Your tier at final form is a tier 4, and you succeed on a 4 through 10, or 4 through 8, and you burst on a 9 through 10. Which means that he would have been able to get some shots through and stuff mechanically had this beast of a man not been rolling crazy. But that didn't pan out because the opponent seemed overly powerful, and there's really not a mechanic, as Chris brought up. There's not really a mechanic in the game that allows players out of the game to increase the tension to allow that to happen, other than their friends getting beat down.
There are more, but the problem is most of the time the things to increase tension are situational. You can't actually just say you can't just do something in the whatever. Like if you burn a fate point, 3 tension. Someone,
5.
it's 3.
Burning a fate point is 5.
Spending is 3. Okay, that's sorry. The point is that's right now. As of right now, that's the only way I can see you manually taking control of doing it right now. But maybe you don't want to spend a fucking fate point to do that. That's the only time I think willpower would be somewhat useful. But I don't like willpower, so I don't want to put that in there.
Yeah, that was already one thing that we had discussed, is actually removing willpower as a mechanic, but keeping the things that it can do, and instead rolling it into fate points. Just because right now tracking willpower and fate they're extra pools that we don't really use because it's just a lot of extra little tiny mechanics.
Also, because of how often...
Hold on real quick, Jeremy. To be fair, and I'm just going to say this to the viewing audience, to be fair, this game is still in an alpha release state.
Yes.
This is all heavy playtest, and we're doing this conversation in a way that, for our table, and if the Cream Games watches this video and hears us and whatever, or anybody else that sees this video thinking, oh, I want to try this game, they can kind of go, this makes sense, this doesn't. But he is throwing a lot of mechanics at the wall and seeing what's sticking to help make his system more unique and better for the overall feel of the game, or the feel of the universe of Dragon Ball.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely.
While we don't maybe like a mechanic, it's not necessarily something that's going to make it into a final release. And I'm sure that a final release is still over a year away at this point. We are just going over what we don't like at the state of 5.2 bookmarked.
Well, bookmarked is my thing. I bookmarked
but
it.
I apologize to interrupt. I just wanted to throw that disclaimer out there.
Yeah, no, that's fair. That's actually my complaint about the suggestion list, is that nobody puts what version they're talking about. So that's actually really, really good that we pointed out what version specifically that we're talking about, because as soon as 5.6 or whatever the next one's called comes out,
it's going to be just. I think he's going straight to 6.
Yeah, I think he mentioned something about that.
He got he got pretty plagiarized, so he's going right to 6.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's a good way to go, considering. But yeah, the big thing was in the show, during the one-on-one fights, you'll see that there are times where they're literally doing nothing. They're just watching. But then there are other times, like the Frieza fight, which is kind of the big question of how do we emulate the Frieza fight and get it to feel right. During the Frieza fight, there is clearly people that are charging and gathering ki. Well, inside this game, ki is so limited that there's no reason for me to charge for 3 rounds while Mira gets beat, because I'll go way past my ki limit anyways.
I mean, you're gonna do in 3 rounds. You can just sit there and do nothing. It's gonna max out anyways.
My personal build, me charging ki really doesn't matter anyways, because the tension has to be high enough for me to actually throw anything out other than standard attacks.
If I may interject as the DBZ Lore Master at the moment to give a point of reference for DBZ, what we're talking about. So in the Frieza fight, for example, I'm going to use Gohan, who, as he watches Vegeta fight or Piccolo fight and they get beat, what happens is he gets this burst of rage and becomes way more powerful than he should be for the moment. And he has all this stored energy that he just releases, and he chucks the die missile barrage if you play Xenoverse, or the thing where he just kind of shoots and levels a whole area of land on Frieza and really does some good damage to Frieza. Mechanically, there's no way to increase your power out of that combat to allow somebody that momentary advantage of that cinematic experience to impact the combat in a meaningful way, other than I'm charged up to full, I guess I could just let off a ki blast. There's no hit rush version, and to be fair, it's not just Cream Games, it's any version of DBZ RPG that we've read from any content creator. And we've done a lot. So, I'm sorry, Chris, continue, please.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I'm looking over the combat actions because we literally stopped the call that we had before right at about this point so that we could do the online one. So now we're back in the real-time suggestions here. I'm looking at the combat section, which in 5.2 starts on 46. The only thing that I can really think of that you can do would be like I did it one time in the combat where I feinted so that Mir could get an advantage, but I don't feel like that's really a boss action. I feel like that's like something you do to mooks, which is what I used it for. But the other thing that I was thinking is you could technically aim during your charge up before you enter the fight, and that would give you a number of, let's see, after performing this action, user gains a number of bonus dice equal to their perception or search skill rank to hit the target. Which may not be a bad option, so that we can emulate that kind of feel. That maybe that's where they're getting that initial burst for that single round, is that they're coming in with an aim, basically. But I'd almost like to see it so that you could do like the example you gave. I feel like because it was Gohan, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like because Gohan was there watching it for, let's say, 12 seconds, just arbitrarily, or 2 rounds, whatever. Because in this DBZ, they actually don't break down rounds into seconds because they realize the flaw in that, because the way DBZ fights goes. So let's say for mechanical reasons, Gohan is watching for 3 rounds. He can only aim once to really get the benefit. After that, he doesn't really aim again. So what I'm thinking is maybe we could do like the aim action, but because you're in this like battle ready state, maybe there could be like a like an extra aim action, let's say, where you can add like 1 bonus for each round that you additionally aim, so that when you do come out and throw it out, you get that 1 burst super cool attack to open the scene with you coming in.
Actually, I was thinking of something almost completely different.
Fair enough.
Instead of aim, so ambiently you're gathering ki. Normally, for example, Gohan in that measure, he's recovering from his own fights at that point. His ki is naturally going up as he fights. That's how this system is built, is that your ki, even though you're not in a fight, your ki is going up. A thought that I had is that for every round that you sit at full ki, yes, Jeremy, I did. Repost. For every round that your ki sits at full, you get a bonus dice to your next attack to enter combat, but only on the first attack only on the turn in which you enter combat. So essentially, showing that flare of ki coming up. So if you sit out for
so basically, kind of like an overcharge.
Yes.
Okay.
Murdoch, that's funny. I was literally thinking of the exact same thing. Literally with the name overcharge. I was thinking about using the charge action, though, to do it. Like if you're full and then you do charge action.
If you If you charge, though, you don't. And the reason that I say that is, again, for everybody here, everybody knows that I'm probably the DBZ lore master. Jeremy's right there neck and neck with me. You don't see in any fight someone just standing on the sideline going, ah, powering up their key while somebody else fights. No, they're getting their key ready to fight. Like, they're getting their body physically ready to fight. But they're not showing their opponent what's going to happen. And that's kind of a martial arts thing. Go to L5R, you know, the stare down and the martial arts masters in old kung fu movies where they're looking at each other, searching each other for weaknesses. They're not trying to tip their hand that's about to, come. You know, so I feel like the charge up action or the charge key action wouldn't work. But for every turn that you sit there, and even, I mean, in awe, you gain key. So in theory, if you were sitting there in awe watching, you know, Mura and Plum, we'll use Plum, fight, which they haven't gotten to yet, fight, and there sits Chris, who's sitting there going, you know, just all saying, like, looking and watching the fight, but what he's doing internally is preparing for this attack, you know, because really what that first attack does in all the shows, or in all the fights, is really kind of catches the enemy off guard and weakens them a little bit. Maybe it fatigues them. Maybe it does just enough damage to fatigue that person, and now you're fighting on a slightly even playing field.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you think about that, Chris? Like, is that...
So, yes, but no.
Okay.
This is what I'm thinking. I like the idea of it being part of the action, or at least relative to the action, but I don't think it should necessarily inherently be the action. Because if we add that to the action, basically, works exactly the same, except for you add a die to your next attack. Then going into during the middle of combat in a group thing might not be as good. Sorry to interrupt, but I'm not talking about as an action in general. I'm just using that as anytime you're ambiently gaining key while watching another fight. Right. I was gonna say you're technically doing the action if you're not doing anything, and you're watching another fight.
Well, you could be. You don't have to be doing the action, but yes.
Yeah, I was gonna say there's no reason not to. And I mean, in the show they show plenty of times where that's basically, if you're not at perfect fighting condition anyways, that's what you're doing.
Yeah.
In between. But what I was gonna say is maybe not saying that it's an action, because in, let's say, like the transform. When an enemy transforms, typically in the show, the allies will take the action during that transformation so that they can at least heal up and prepare themselves. I don't think gaining the extra die there would make sense, because they're not actually like trying to sense out and feel out the battle and everything. I feel like maybe we should do a new action that is basically plus this. Maybe call it like sideline or something like that, just as an example. And when you take the sideline action, you get all of the benefits of plus one die is added to your next attack, and it's cumulative for each round that you stay in sideline. Sideline's a terrible name, but you get where I'm going.
Yeah. So you're saying that you don't like that it's tied to or that you do?
No, I do like that it's tied to but I don't think it should be the. I don't think should be the action that does it, is what I'm saying.
No, I'm saying you don't need to take an action. It ambiently happens, because every turn you gain key.
Mm-hmm.
So it doesn't matter whether you're sitting there taking the block action every turn out of combat. As long as you are not in combat and somebody else is, and you are physically there watching it, your key climbs on that turn. If you're already at full, you gain a dice to your next action.
Yeah, maybe it doesn't even need to be an action. It could just be something that happens.
Are you saying to take the power?
I just realized a problem with it.
What's that?
So.
And then you could cap it and say double your stat that you use for the attack.
Yeah, we need to put a cap on it, because that was going to be the problem that I saw, is say Mira's fighting, and then Tyrannus is next up to bat. The whole time Pyre's been over there like accumulating stat points, and he just goes, "I death storm this guy."
I mean, honestly, you could base it upon how many.
I like double the rank.
I was gonna say you could do it based on your rank of key control.
That's actually really good.
Let's give key control some more usage.
Yeah. I actually really like that. I like double key control, and I'm not saying that because I've already invested a skill point in key control. I just think that key control is a very underused skill. Like, I purposely took it because it fits DBZ.
Exactly. I did too. 100%. I'm with you. I took it, and I literally have to suck up on skills, and I took it.
You know what? I could get behind it being so. What I'm hearing is
I like the you can accumulate up to double your rank in key control. I think that's good.
Your rank, not the total. Your rank of key control.
So you could ever maximally get 10 extra dice.
Yes.
Exactly.
So Murdoch.
If you were to ever get yourself stacked to where, like, let's say that we did have a Frieza fight, and we have to do that order where Mira goes first, Tyrannus goes next, and then we're down to our last hope Goku over here. Pyre, and he whips out an extra 10 dice on his attack.
Goku here.
That really does, to me, feel like DBZ, because if you remember right, the first time that Goku uses the Soul Bomb in combat, like, the entire Z fighters have to get wiped out just to give him enough time to make that thing happen.
Yeah, no, I totally agree, and I think that using the double key control, things like that, is awesome. No, strength defense, by the way.
No, that's fine. I'm
sorry.
I like calling it overcharge as a basic rule.
Yes. I
don't think it should be an action. I think it just should be something that occurs if you're not.
That's what I'm talking about. When you're sitting on the sideline, it ambiently happens every turn. Not the turn that you become full, but the turn that you the turn after.
Turn.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Anytime you gain key while you're full, not fighting, you overcharge, gain a dice, blah blah blah.
The cool thing too is that technically does leave open the option that if you full charge up, like right now, Tyrannus could get. I think I have 1 in key control, so I could get an extra 2 dice if I'm doing the overcharge.
Yeah.
If I think I can squeeze another round before Mira goes down, I could technically aim that round, and then I'll get my aim bonus inside there too. So I could actually come out even harder if I have enough time to prepare, which I do like that as well, because that means technically you could. Say best case scenario, you could get up to an extra 15 dice, but that would be absolute best case scenario.
Yeah, but that would mean that you're sitting there making sure you're preparing preparing for that one, but you're only ever getting it on the.
Yeah.
Let's look at this logically though. Again, part of the overcharge mechanic, and I want to put this out there for any viewer and for the players because I know we all have DM'd except for Jeremy, who's a bitch.
Fuck off.
I feel like overcharge requirement needs to be. You have to actively be in combat before that even starts.
Well, because otherwise people will try to make the whole thing like, oh, we get the combat. Guess what? I'm overcharged.
I was gonna say because if you show up to combat and the first 5 minutes is everybody trying to overcharge, I think that might be a little drastic.
Well, no, I'm also talking from a GM standpoint. Beyond even that, from a GM standpoint. And I'm going to bring out a negative of this overcharge mechanic we're talking about and just float this out there. No, negative as in a way that it can be broken, like a balance issue. So say, Tyrannus, we're in the situation where we were last week, where you start to charge an attack. You've been overcharging. If you start to charge an attack and I as the DM cannot stop you for some reason as the villain, then say you go and I got overcharged, my maximum overcharge 15 rounds, I got a beam coming, and that bitch is charged 5 fucking rounds. Every one of those extra successes from 15 extra dice is coming in at you multiplied by 5.
Yeah. Well, you had pointed out earlier that nobody really opens with a beam. Like if they do, it's to announce their presence, not necessarily to do a direct hit.
Yeah, like Vegeta, just get this fight over.
So maybe
But hold on. Now we're not talking about Tom, Jeremy, and Drop. We're talking bumfuck A from the TG boards on 4chan that are looking for ways to break the game.
10,000 experience for their character creation. Yeah.
Like I'm not trying to stereotype anybody, but we all know that Munchkin that's going to go.
Murdoch,
I can one shot any.
This is a good explanation of what that guy is.
Yeah.
Because you never understood it before. That's that guy.
Yeah, that guy.
Specifically trying his best to fuck everything else because he thinks he's more important than you.
If Vegeta had sat there powering up the Big Bang, Big Bang, well, fucking everybody else fought Frieza and then was like, all right, I'm ready.
Done.
And then Frieza's wiped out because, Vegeta, like the mechanic is good.
Yeah, that's true.
It needs refining to not allow someone to just open up with a death ray.
Also, I have to say, I'm sorry to say, I don't like key control being doubled for it. I think it should just be key control rank. Simple as that.
That's what I was about to say, is maybe we should just drop it down to key control.
Because right now, at max, that'd be 10 fucking dice. I mean, that's a ridiculous amount of extra damage you can add on to something.
Okay, but say the
But
person...
here's the thing, if we do key control rank, and they get the extra round to aim, and they've got 5 in their perception or search, they're going to get 10 anyways.
Yeah, but let's say...
The other way, they would have gotten 15, which is far worse.
Exactly. At the very... I'm just saying something
you're still looking at...
we get it. I get it, Murdoch. We're still looking at something really strong for no apparent reason. I'm trying my best. We're trying to refine it. That's me helping to refine it.
So,
it shouldn't be doubled. Also, I think you shouldn't... I think what it should do, you should not be able to aim and that at the same time. Because if you're aiming, you're actively preparing for an attack.
I mean, hold on. Remember that if you're what? Your aim or whatever. I mean, that's fine, but remember that this isn't necessarily limited to a key attack. You could also be using a rush with this. Something to like fly in and kick somebody right in the face. So that's another thing. But we need to come up with a way to balance this mechanic, because right now I like the core concept of the mechanic. I think it has its merits. I just think we need to just go, how do we fix this to be limited? And still even half key control doesn't help it enough. Key control, not key control times 2, doesn't help it enough, especially if someone's taking the time to aim on top of it.
We can eliminate the aim on top actually very easily. So instead of letting it linger, what you could do is say that at the end of the overcharge action, instead of saying to your next attack, it should be to your action immediately following entrance to combat, or something like that.
You know what? It could be if you stop.
I was gonna say, because then if you wanted to, because there is a really good example of this. Piccolo does it. I don't remember what fight. Basically, he's over there charging, and then when he actually enters combat per se, he actually just throws a perception, and it's like bad guy.
You could say to your next check.
Yeah.
Or check.
If you aim, they would lose it technically.
Yeah.
Well, you get that bonus on aim though,
which may be better than your overcharge. So it may be more beneficial to you and your specific circumstance to aim instead.
What we could do on that, I mean, yes, you could go, my bonus is to aim, and then you roll your perception dice. You're still only getting bonus dice, whatever. But
well, you don't roll anything on an aim action. You just get the rank.
Oh, you don't? That was a roll.
No, you get the rank in perception or search added to your next attack roll.
Oh, I was wrong. Never mind then.
What you could do is say, basically, except for like manipulating an object, you can't take any actions.
Like while you're overcharging?
Yeah, like while you're in the state of overcharge, you can't make any attack. You can't make any actions except like manipulating an object, i.e., pressing a button on the scouter.
Agreed.
You know,
Yeah,
feeding
I would
somebody a
put that.
sensu beam.
Yeah.
I would think you could move as well.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, but I think at that point it'd be up to the GM, narrator, DM, whatever, to basically say, to keep your bad guy into the mindset of, if that character over there gets too close, I'm killing him.
Yeah. I like the idea of to use overcharge, you basically have to use your whole turn, and the only thing you could do is manipulate object, which means that you could turn on a scouter. That's really kind of the extent of what you're going to probably end up doing. In Tyrannus' case, he might draw his sword. Something like that. It's always going to be something minor like that. I was thinking movement, but as I said it, I was like, man, if they do move, it's probably like half. It's probably not even like a full movement, because the few times that you do see people that are doing it, they're not going fast or anything.
Well, most of the time
they're just doing that like ambient float.
When you think about it, most of the time, ambient float, or like the reason they moved is because their ground they were standing on was destroyed.
Mm-hmm.
Like I feel like taking a move action as moving is more of a combat move, not as a ambiently we need to get out of the way of this fight.
Yeah.
So to me,
so maybe not move action included in there. That's a good point.
Because if you're moving, you may be like, for example, when Goku and Beerus fight and Vegeta's just kind of standing there looking up. That happens in Super. Vegeta just kind of watches the fight from the boat. Eventually, if he's overcharging and he just kind of floats up towards the fight, he's moving towards the combat with the plan of engaging.
Right.
And I feel like adding the move action to this takes away from that cinematic moment of shit. In this experience, shit Murr's down, and you using the rush action to like kick the opponent away from Murra, deal some damage, and stand in the way with your sword going, she's down, it's your turn to fight me.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying?
So this is my suggestion, so that we could try this mechanic in a live play.
Yeah.
Is we will do overcharge up to.
Type it. Chris, wow, Chris, you got like that big on my screen for half a second.
You mean what we were suggesting?
Yeah, overcharge. Write the mechanics as we go.
I don't have it right now.
It's your document, bro.
Oh, it's my document, but yes.
Well, I don't want to, because this is the feats document.
Well,
just write it down. We'll transfer it later.
Don't worry about it. I got this.
I was gonna say, just put it at the top. This is my suggestion of how we can do it inside a game and feel it out. I don't think the next game that we do, we necessarily will be able to explore this mechanic, unless you purposely engineer a way for us during training to explore this mechanic.
Your training's only going to be like an hour.
Okay.
Right there, with our original adjustments one.
Yeah.
No, I don't want to put this on the adjustment stock.
This is meant to be for rule changes and such.
Yeah, I don't want to put it on there yet.
That makes no sense then.
Well, he wants to try it first.
Yeah, I want to refine the idea before I put it in there. Jeremy, Chris and I have literally worked together and like written stuff for Campaign Worlds. Like Chris has consulted me with like the physics of things and whatnot. Where Chris and I are both of the same type. Where if we say that this is something that we think is a good idea, 99% of the time we tried it out first, or we backed it up with facts and sources. So I don't know. I'm not trying to speak for you.
I mean,
Chris, but that's how I feel.
What I'm trying to say is
the document that he's got there was our suggestions. They haven't actually.
They're not tested. None of this stuff that could be tested. This is just stuff that we would like to think about.
This is our internal document.
Yes. This is not the suggestion.
Never mind. I thought this was the suggestion.
He thought it was the official Cream Games one.
Yeah.
No. I'm not that dumb.
I wanted it to be internal.
I'm the only one who's ballsy enough to just throw a comment on there and be like, "This is what we need to do to fix it."
Yeah, I didn't want to. Again, sorry. You're right, Jeremy. That document is the correct document.
Yeah. So my idea for overcharge.
Hold on, Chris. For those that are watching, I just want to explain. So when we game, as Chris said, we have changes and homebrew stuff that we do.
Like any good group.
Like any good group. And we have,
imagine the hangout discussion that would have happened if we did this for Remnants. All the crap we did for that game. Oh, man. But it came out so good.
Yeah, it was such a great game. So for right now, for DBZ, for adjustments and whatnot, we have no less than 4 documents, I believe, at this point.
Not counting character sheets, yeah.
No, counting the character sheet.
I was going to say, counting character sheets, we have like 1 character sheet per release after like 3 something.
Well, that's because I don't like deleting. I don't like just.
It totally makes sense. I actually like it a lot better because it's archives.
I've literally built a brand new system.
Jeremy doesn't like to write a changelog, so
fuck that shit. My changelog is.
To be in all honesty about it, though, I like having the new sheet every edition because it gives you an archive to see how the game's progressed and see what things worked, what things didn't work.
That's honestly because there's so much. A changelog would just be a waste of time. It's easier just. My changelog is the previous
we're the unofficial official beta testers for Queen Games. That's not his home group.
I think we take. I think we probably take it way more seriously than just about any other people. I've seen other people. I don't like
it all the time.
Yeah, no. So, are you ready for the overdrive idea? I think we should test it initially. Anyway.
Just tell me how you want to overcharge. Like, okay, overcharge is.
Okay, while not actively engaging in combat, a character may charge their ki to maximum.
Listen to this word food that Chris has.
On the following round, they will gain a cumulative bonus die pool for each round that they remain in the overcharge state, up to their rank in ki control. During the overcharge state, you may take no other actions than manipulate object. Upon entering combat, the overcharge pool must be used in the first round.
First check.
Or first check, yes.
So if your first check is a block, you're blocking so good.
Exactly. Or if your first check is a rush, however, this, by the way that we're phrasing it right now, it will prevent you from doing an aim on top.
What's that?
I'm just gonna tell you now. Overcharge with the counterattack.
Would not work.
It would work on the actual parry itself, just not the.
Would work on the parry, not the riposte.
Oh, but it would be a guaranteed attack again.
It would be pretty cool though.
Yeah.
I'm just pointing out just the hilarity of you like that.
For the viewers, I find this hilarious. We're talking about changes to the core mechanics. By the way, we're writing new feats because the game doesn't have feats yet.
The game talks about feats that don't exist, so we're adding
in the background. As we're currently having this conversation, we have another doc open called DBZ Feats that we are currently typing to each other as we go back and forth about this change or that change or this isn't working, this is working. We need to, like, we're having this conversation.
I feel like we should try Overdrive the way I'm suggesting first.
Overcharge.
Or Overcharge.
Unless you want to, I like Overdrive. That's not a bad name either.
Overcharge the way I'm suggesting first, and then if it feels like it's too weak, we can then go to the ×2 idea.
Chris, I also recommend you finishing up typing it because I honestly missed half of what you said.
Okay.
Where you? Oh,
I
you
will
have it on
probably
the.
do it after I'm done talking.
Yeah,
37.
go ahead.
Type.
No. I'm talking about in the adjustment.
Yeah.
No, I was laughing.
Yeah. So that sounds good. Like, while we're on the subject, I have something of a concern, as it's probably going to relate to my character, because most often I'm probably going to be the first one in who gets her ass beat.
It's okay, Yamcha.
I was just going to say, it's okay, Yamcha.
For several reasons. One, I'm the human, and therefore the Yamcha of the group.
I'm sorry, you kind of are.
Two, even before I knew this was going to be a thing, I decided I wanted to play this character aggressively because I'd never done that before. So Mur will probably be the first one in.
Okay, Yamcha.
There's also the slight mechanical reason, which will be addressed by this new overcharge mechanic, that she didn't gain much from charging up. Like, most of her stuff is right out of the gate, so she doesn't really have a reason to stay on the sidelines. So she will be the one who goes in. So yes, most of the time it's going to be her testing the waters and getting her shit knocked in. Aside from that, a core theory for the situation is, if we're gonna handle things like this, we have to have a way of making it okay for the player to get knocked out, or give them a way to withdraw. For the example we had, back in that session where I lost nearly half my health and the rest of the party joined in. Part of that was definitely because of her old habits of, in any other game, you don't want one of your party members to go down. That is just a bad idea.
Yeah.
And it was also under the assumption, mechanically, that once I went down, I would be done for the session, which, as a player, is not fun, because then I'm just kind of sitting here and letting everything else resolve. I've been told by Murdoch that apparently all still works when I'm unconscious. I am not sure if that's actually true.
No, awe does not work when you're conscious.
Okay, so
just the unconscious mechanic is actually kind of weird.
Yeah.
Going unconscious is difficult.
Not as difficult as you might think.
Inside the game, you can technically go into negative hit points and still not actually be unconscious. It's got kind of a weird clause in there. I feel like it's a lot of narrator control on when you're unconscious.
Well, there's hard fast rules for going unconscious, and going unconscious. Now, see, here's the problem, because it's not clarified. This is a big issue that I've had with the game, and it's really up to narrator control what this means. So, for my players, fatigue says that when you are unable to attack or defend yourself due to the amount of fatigue they have, then that character is rendered unconscious. So here's the question: does that mean that as soon as you go, for example, my bad guy, he can evade with a maximum of 2 dice? Does that mean he receives 2 fatigue and he goes unconscious because he can't evade an attack? He can still parry the attack, but he can no longer evade. On the flip side of the issue, now is that what's it called? Help me out here. If I go, at what point can you no longer attack and defend yourself? Because there's no default in this system. Once you're rolling no dice, you're rolling no dice. So does that mean that you rolling no dice for any check, you are now gone? Because technically, when you're fatigued, you can still move. So does that say if I crank my intelligence so I can always see the enemy, I can run away? Does that mean that running away then allows you to defend yourself? So it's pretty liberal. I have been running it that once you're out of dice pool for any or for all your stuff, so it doesn't matter whichever your highest is. So in the example of my bad guy, 7 dice was his highest dice pool. Once you go to, he had 7 fatigue, he would go unconscious. Now, that's how I took it, but at the same time, there's no definition of that. So, Tom, it's very difficult for me to give you that answer, because with your hit point total, very honestly, you might not be in a situation where you are negative hit points down before you're unconscious, or you may go unconscious and still have 40 hit points.
Yeah.
At
the moment, most of my dice pools are 4, so they about equal each other at the moment, so it's not that big of a deal. But regardless of how that system's handled, if we want to make the overcharge actually work, i.e. someone can stay in and duck out long enough without just being knocked out for the session, there has to be a way for them to get back up or tactfully withdraw before things get too bad.
So I think that needs to be handled two ways as far as one way is, or let me rephrase that. I think we can handle that two ways. One is obviously the narrator runs bad guys that are within the DBZ universe, and I'll say this example: Cell, Frieza, Boo. They all went, okay, you're backing off, fine, goodbye. Like, all right, we'll see you later. Who's next? Cell let Goku just get up and walk away from that fight, and calling Gohan, the Major Gohan, and the Frieza, letting Vegeta pretty much live, on the ground going, oh, before he opened his fat mouth and was killed. So I think it's more of I think narratively speaking, it's accomplishable by the players and the narrator. I think if you want to look at a mechanical standpoint of how you withdraw, there really isn't a way that makes that feasibly mechanically that gives the player the power to the player to say, I'm not fighting you anymore. Because you kind of hamstring the DM's bad guys. Because if my bad guy says, no, you're still fighting me, and then you invoke a rule that says, no, I play this rule mechanically that says I can walk away from this fight and use my overcharge ability. So, narratively speaking, I think it's a case-by-case, fight-by-fight basis. Mechanically speaking, I think you hamstring the DM. So, I mean, how would you feel if during the middle of the Great Hunt, when we were on your Shadowrun game, Wes was just like, you know what, we're done with this fight. We retreat for a little while. Here's a card that says you can't attack us for 2 days while we prepare for you.
Murdoch, how about the idea of you're not being able to withdraw, being able to tag someone in?
Again, I think that has to be narratively done. I don't think mechanically you can hamstring the narrator. I just, as a DM, as a narrator, I don't want my bad guys being hamstrung by mechanics saying they have to fight somebody specific.
Yeah, I think it's a narration thing, especially in the case of DBZ, because there's not a lot of examples where, for example, let's say Goku goes, I'm your next opponent, and the bad guy turns around and goes, no, and points at Gohan. Like, bad guys just don't do that.
Remember, bad guys are cocky. They think they're going to win.
Yeah, and that's why I said I feel like it's more of a narration thing. And, like, the cockiness of the bad guys actually plays into the whole, oh, wow, we got beat. Let's run away. And the bad guys won't chase them because they're no threat to me.
But depends on the bad guy.
Choice.
Depends on the bad guy.
That is true. It does depend on the bad guy.
Because Cell first form will chase after you because he's trying to absorb you, whereas Cell perfect form is just like, no matter how long you train, you cannot defeat me.
Okay. Well, mostly I want to prevent the scenario where Mura is cannon fodder for the other two, because as the system stands, if I get knocked out, I'm not getting back up because no one else has healing.
So I think that's a different problem altogether. I.e., so of course Mura can get knocked out, and you can go, okay, I'm knocked out. I spend a fate point to heal up and get up and kind of go, wow, that sucked. And that's in the system. And I think that makes your case. Then we have a problem where, in my opinion, and this is what I'm saying, is that Mura is going, okay, I'm always going to reserve one of my fate points to make sure that when Mura gets knocked down, she can get back up and Tyrannus or the Arcosian go in to do the fight. So I don't want to hamstring your character into doing something that your character needs to do to be effective. I don't want to, as a narrator and person that's trying to create content, I don't want to hamstring a player either. Or shoehorn the player into a specific action, because that's how they did. Like, I want other things to be open to you. But I think that unconsciousness is because this is an alpha release, I think unconsciousness, damage, health are pretty abstract and up to the narrator to deal with at the moment. Fatigue, and health being absolute numbers, but how in Dragon Ball Z, how many times do you see people truly go unconscious?
I was going to say not for more than a couple seconds.
I can't remember one time anybody goes unconscious in Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah, I was going to say you usually see them like close their eyes, they hit the ground, and then the next person starts the fight, and then the screen will flash back over, and they're already awake again.
Like the only times that people go unconscious in Dragon Ball Z is someone pops them on the back of the head, and they go oh, and they pass out from fainting. Like bitches, like Goku does in Battle of the Gods with Beerus. His Beerus is just so powerful, he goes boop, and Goku goes down.
Maybe that's how we should handle it. Is you just don't go unconscious unless karate chop.
That's what I've been doing.
Only karate chop to the back of you can
to the back of the neck.
So the real question here
becomes, what I've been handling, Chris,
is that a key strike ability, and how much do I got to spend to karate chop people?
Good question. No, how I've been handling it personally is you don't go unconscious. You go to that state in Dragon Ball where, like, Goku is after the fight or during the fight with Vegeta, where Goku's just down on the ground. He can look around and kind of yell at people, but he's beat. His body is done. Yeah. Or like Vegeta after he fights Frieza before Frieza death beams him. He's laying there and he's talking. He's done. He's not moving. His body is beaten and broken. I feel that that's more apropos. And you have to remember that in those circumstances, when you get to that point, no character gets up from that, period. No character in the show gets up from being beat in the show. Let me in the show / manga, not in any of the movies, because I'm not speaking to the 14 fucking movies, some of which I've only seen once. I'm looking at you, Tapion movie. Worst fucking movie. Trunks is my favorite character. Just to watch him get Tapion's sword, and it makes no sense to anything else. I want to blow my brains out. But when I look at it and go, no one goes unconscious. They go to that point. No one gets up from that fight. Like, unless they get a sensu bean, no one's getting up from that. They're done. Their day is over. So, I don't know. Cinematically, to me, I think that right now there's not a narration point. There's no fatigue level type thing that I can say, this is where you're at, you're down, you can still get up and walk away. Because until you're unconscious in the system, you can get up and walk away. As a player, you can tell me, but that kind of breaks the illusion of the game. And narratively speaking, as a prideful fighter, if your character can get up, your character's going to want to continue the fight. So I think it falls on me to narratively say to you, your character is done, she can barely stand, the enemy is not looking at you as a threat because you can't move. Like, you're going to have to sit back and regen some ki and take some time to kind of go, wow, this fight took a lot out of me. Does that make sense?
No, that's fine. Like, and like, it's either like I have to like judge when to back off, or there may be some fudging involved. Because once I take 4 fatigue, according to the rules, I'm supposed to fall unconscious. So there's that.
Again, I would tell you that. But I mean, you'll never fall unconscious until you're fucking dead in my game.
Yeah.
Okay, so if we're doing that, that's fine. I can totally work with that.
The problem is that once you're at that level, to me, you're I'm laying down, I'm done, I'm Goku going to the hospital, I'm Vegeta getting death beams, and there's no defense that I've got. Like, that to me is what he means by unconscious. Okay. I'm laying there on the ground, I can still talk, I can still open my eyes, but if I sit there and taunt the bad guy, I'm probably going to get killed.
So, here's an idea to mechanically establish that.
But hold on real quick, Chris. The problem is, Tom, is I can't guarantee, narratively speaking, I can't guarantee that one day I'm not going to go, okay, you're beaten down, and you go, okay, I want to withdraw. No, you're at the fatigue point where you're down and out for the day, as opposed to the I can get up and walk away at 0 fatigue. Narratively, it's very difficult to interpret those two different situations. Sorry, Chris, your turn.
So here's an idea for down and your day is over, kind of down. 0 hit points or less, because you can go negative, and enough fatigue to not be able to do anything.
So you say 0 and fatigue?
Yeah.
So if you say you still have hit points, well, the issue is, especially in the case of Tom, that's equal.
Yeah.
Sort of. Because if sort of. Now bear with me. Because he can awe through, like, let's say Tom takes 2 fatigue, and then, or Mira takes 2 fatigue. Tirana steps in, takes over the battle, before Mira just gets decimated. Now Mira can awe twice and remove fatigue and get a little healing out of the deal, but the fatigue will actually come off faster than the healing will come up.
Yeah.
Because of the way the awe action works. So then he can take another 2 fatigue, and let's say he's got 12 hit points left now because he awed and recovered the other 2 that he got before.
Yeah.
If he gets hit again and drops to 0, he's got 3 fatigue and 0 hit points. He still technically can move at that point. Yeah. It just means that players have to be a little bit more thoughtful of how they're going to mix in awe actions if we do it that way.
So, yes, and I like mechanically where you're going with that. And I think that actually, as I think about it, I think mechanically I like it because it makes it makes that one attack more deadly at lower power tier, and it makes the fights seem longer and protracted at a higher tier. So what I mean for that is, example, when Goku and Vegeta are fighting in the very first saga, or excuse me, Raditz and Goku and Piccolo, we'll use that, and they're getting their ass beat. Like Goku goes down hard, dies. Piccolo is done. He's hurt. As opposed to like the Boo fight where Vegeta and Goku are kind of switching off a little bit. You know, Goku's fighting in Super Saiyan 3 and then goes, I gotta do Spirit Bomb, pulls back, and Vegeta goes in. Vegeta definitely at some point, mechanically in this, would hit 0 hit points. But since he didn't hit the fatigue cap, he's still able to continue to fight.
On. Yeah, exactly.
And I like that.
Maybe it could be like, maybe not 0 hit points, because hit points are a whole nother touchy subject.
You know what? There's also another thing we could do is, and again, add more mechanics to a game. We could add a similar version of Jesus Christ, Second Wind from 4th Ed and 5th Ed Fighter, and call it Push On, and be, once per combat you can immediately regain a fatigue. And then say he's down, he's gained that fatigue, and he's at that point, he can push on and kind of be like, take that round to use the push on, kind of stand up and go, oh my god, I wasn't expecting that. Stand up, stand in awe, recover some stuff.
Give me 1 second.
Okay. While you do that, I am sorry to the audience, but I'm going to go take a piss.
Eagleton.
Honestly, I'm trying to judge under what circumstances the correct action would have been in my fight with Peaches, because I went in, dealt a bit of damage, and got half my health knocked off. what is the correct choice for me to do in that situation? Because it's probably back off because I know the next punch is going to lay me out. And rules as written, that will take me out of the fight, the session, and I'm useless as a player, which I want to avoid. So basically, I'm trying to think of a way to keep that from happening. Like, I'm fine with going down, but I don't want to go out, if that makes sense.
I'm going to start writing feed stuff again in the chat.
So, push is a willpower mechanic that exists inside the game right now. How it works is you spend a willpower, and then one of your successful dies can explode, essentially, regardless of what number it rolls. And then if it rolls a 10, it technically explodes again. Which will let you kind of ignore the fact that you're fatigued, in a sense. It will allow you to actually push past the fatigue. Just because the way the mechanics will work, it'll actually end up canceling each other. For each push that you put into it, you'll technically get one fatigue level ignored.
Guess that's true.
Are you saying willpower? I posted in the chat, by the way.
Because, yeah, it's super weird because, like...
So, I will say...
For example, let's talk about our characters for a second here. For example, Mira has 40 hit points, and her highest dice pool is 4, correct?
Yes.
So if you happen to go 40 to 0, you get 4 fatigue, because every 10 increment you get a fatigue. You happen to be unable to combat at that point, and you... By the way that I'm suggesting, if that was one hit, your character is now going to the hospital, your day is done kind of nonsense. The flip side is Tyrannus has 60 hit points and dice pools of 5. So technically, I can fatigue myself to where I can't do anything, but I still have hit points because of the weird mechanics of how my character is built right now. Which... Eventually, once we have higher experience, it will come to the point where the fatigue will matter less because our skill points and stuff will be higher.
I think fatigue will actually matter more at higher levels because you're able to cross that 10 damage threshold that much quicker. Because there's no equipment in the game to scale your toughness. Like, your maximum toughness is 5. Your maximum reduction right now without equipment is 5. I have given you some equipment that just plain old allows for soak. So I've been thinking of adding other equipment that would be like more soak but impede your evade actions or parry actions because they have the freaking weird pads or something. But that's besides the point. So let's liberally say that the top soak value anybody will ever have is 5. I doubt it goes that high. So, or excuse me, soak value on a piece of armor goes to 5. I doubt it'll go that high because that would be pretty crazy. But that gives you a maximum soak value of 10.
I'd argue that it probably needs to be higher given the way damage is done right now.
I don't think it can because here's my issue with that is no one wears armor in the show except for Vegeta.
Well, yeah, I was going to say, really, nobody wears armor in the show, so in all honesty, soak should just be calculated differently.
I mean, Goku's technically wearing armor. He's wearing weighted clothing that offers more protection. King Kai gives it to him. But it's never mentioned after that. Like, Goku gets Saiyan armor from Vegeta/Bulma, but it's kind of weird. He never wears it after that. He wears his gi again. So I would say that, yes, soak probably needs to be calculated. Equipment.
Because I think right now it's just equal to your toughness, which, frankly, is laughable amount of damage reduction.
Yes, and that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. So if you're doing it, at higher levels, the damage reduction isn't scaling to damage to block more damage.
Yeah, exactly.
And granted, at a higher level or higher tier of play, we'll call it, your agility and defenses should match up with who you're fighting. So if you're fighting somebody that's really good at key blasting, you don't send out Tyrannus, because Tyrannus is going to be better at parrying, and key blasting, you're going to want to evade. So maybe you send out the Arcosian, who's better at evading.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's a more even fight. You know, you all have your strengths and weaknesses, that sort of thing. And I can understand that. But if you're talking about, you know, fatigue being less important, I think it's even more important at higher tiers because damage scales so high.
Yeah, I suppose.
I am really long-winded. Chris, there's a opinion waiting for you in the Google chat.
Yeah, I'm just not entirely certain what we're talking about.
Feet.
He's trying the chat. He's using the chat for feats in speaking for other things.
Yeah, I'm just saying I need elaboration inside the chat so that I can understand, because it feels like I'm sitting in the middle.
I'll explain it, Chris. He's suggesting a suggestion of a feat that helps deal with fatigue. In other words, he said originally have one extra fatigue as a feat, and since I pointed out there's no true fatigue pool. So I said the feat could cancel out the first fatigue gained per combat.
So I don't like your wording, and I'll tell you why.
No, you can reword it. The idea.
No, hold on. That's why we have the chat. So you can type in the chat while we talk, so the audience isn't bogged down by us creating feeds.
Okay. I mean, unless you want to discuss that live too, as an option.
I mean, we can, but we were in the middle of discussing one thing. I don't want to jump to feats in the middle of that.
Okay. Well, then let's come back to that in a second. Okay. Yes. I think it should be more than just toughness, is all I'm getting at. I don't know what it should be, but it should be something, because right now I have 5 soak, which is pretty cool, but on the flip side, most things, like a beam attack especially, my soak doesn't matter.
And with piercing on beam attacks, or armor breaker and stuff like that, like it's just gonna carve through armor.
I mean, armor breaker.
Armor breaker is ridiculously expensive to buy.
That's times 20. Okay, you put that fucking thing in, you deserve to get through their armor.
Language?
Whatever. It's my channel.
What kids are awake at 1 in the morning?
I was gonna say
not a school night. So
me as a kid.
It's not a school night, so I'd have been up till tomorrow morning.
Yeah, that's pretty fair. But generally, as a channel, my channel is completely open to you can be responsible for your kids.
I also say if any kid somehow found this channel, they probably know what the hell they're getting into.
They deserve to be patted on the bottom.
I mean, to be fair, I've detailed some grisly deaths in some of these games, so this is probably not the worst.
Detailing grisly deaths, that's amazing.
It's okay. They're all my deaths. I get it.
Yeah, I think that's a whole different discussion, which I don't really want to address today. I think that should be a later date discussion.
Which would be?
The toughness or the soak issue.
Yes.
Because that's an entirely different new discussion.
Simply because I know that that's on the mind of the creator, and it's a weird mechanic because of the way some of the attacks work. Some of them, like burst value, technically count as multiple hits, so I get my soak on each one of those multiple hits.
And beams just don't work right now.
No, beams are completely weird mechanic that has to be addressed in general. Like we discovered, beam struggles technically don't work anymore because magnitude is gone and beam struggles were never updated for it.
And beams just in general aren't worth the experience you're paying for them at the moment. Like, I get it.
Yeah.
Like I totally want a beam because it fits DBZ for you to have at least one beam, but
everybody has a beam. Some people have 2 beams.
Yeah.
Everybody gets one.
Except for Yamcha, he's a bitch.
So I want to address something
he still has his Kamehameha, but all right. You just can't do it very well. Sorry, Chris.
So the fatigue thing, I said it backwards. I think your hit points matter less as you go up. It's the fatigue that really matters.
Yes.
But the hit points don't technically track with the fatigue, so it's a very strange system, which is why I think it should almost be one or the other, or just, I don't know, some sort of way to completely revamp it. Again, something I don't want to touch. I'll let the creator try and figure that out. Good luck. Because I think it's just going to have to be a whole different system than what's currently in existence. And where to start on that, I'm just not entirely certain.
I think it starts with the tiers of power, and I think that the tiers of power system is fundamentally flawed, and I've discussed my opinions on that with everybody in the chat or at the conversation at length. However, I mean, it's the best we've got at the moment, and I have real confidence that the Cream Games will fix it, and will make it either effective or allow for it to be taken out or whatever. I just make the number of successes, make the threshold for success 7 or 8, for the love of Jesus.
As a base.
I was going to say, I think last time we used 7, and that felt a little bit better.
I'm thinking of going to 8 next turn, to be completely honest. It's still pretty ridiculous.
Most D10 games use 7 as a success threshold anyways.
Yeah.
I mean, so long as people are actually remembering to gobble their dice, if they get 1s, I think it'll even out.
Yeah. In any event.
Because when we went to 7, I was not one of the people that was having still a good day. If you remember, I'd be like, I got 0 successes because I got some 1s in there. Or I got 1 success off of 6 dice.
Oh, no, yeah, I'm aware.
I think 7, we should keep going with that for a little while. Because I feel like 7's a good number.
So there's also something else that I want to address. If I may.
Go that far, I'd like to continue fatigue-type questions with the fatigue feat that we're discussing at the moment.
Okay.
So the current suggestion is to create a feat that allows you to basically ignore or cancel out the first fatigue that you gain in combat. Here's the problem I have with it. So it cancels the first fatigue I get in combat. What happens when I awe later and then I get punched? That feat only technically works on the first fatigue that I got in combat. So what I think it should be is you can ignore your fatigue penalty, or sorry, you may reduce your fatigue penalty by 1, is what it should be. Because that means anytime you're fatigued, you always reduce the penalty by 1.
I can see that.
Which I think is far superior, because I wouldn't take that feat right now. I can tell you that. I would spend that experience anywhere else, because that just seems like a bad choice.
For the record, Chris, by the way that we decided to do feats was on a tier system. So tier 1 feats, not feat tree tiers, just tiers of power for the feat.
Essentially, to determine, like, there's 3 tiers. Essentially, we're going with each tier costs different amounts.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because of what are they called? The attributes. Attributes. Yeah, it made it necessity to have tiers of power for feats.
Well, that's fine. Yeah. But I like it a lot better as ignore 1 fatigue, and then if you really wanted to do like a 3-step tree doing the same thing, I would do it as ignore 1 fatigue, ignore 2 fatigue, ignore 3 fatigue.
So just because we're not doing, feat tree, we weren't, doing the tier trees, the rank trees as trees, doesn't mean we can't still have feat trees. Oh God, it's 3-5 all over again.
Not doing it. Nope.
I was gonna say it shouldn't be that bad. In fact, like a feat like that, I think you should be able to invest in multiple times.
No, to be fair, that is one I agree with.
Because that one really does
Murdoch,
make a difference.
Let's say like this. Let's say the first one, one is tier 1.
Hold on. I'm okay with it being if we qualify it as the tier goes, or that you may take this feat multiple times. To me, it's a tier 3 feat with a limit of 3 times.
Yes.
So, explain to me how the tiers work, just so I understand this.
Okay, so tier 1 feat might be, so we have several feats already in the doc. So exceptional attribute is a tier 3 feat. That means that it's incredibly powerful. Superior reflexes. I'm not saying it is a tier 2 feat, but say that's a tier 2 feat, meaning it's moderately powerful. Right. Tier 3 feats are feats everybody should probably eventually invest in. Tier 2 is feats that make sense for your build, or excuse me, make sense for most people, and will make certain builds better. Tier 1 is I'm making a build like this, and that feat helps with it.
Okay. Tier 3 logically is the more expensive one, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
A feat to...
I don't like it like that.
I don't like it like that either.
You're saying tier 3 and take it up to 3 times? I don't know that it should be that high. This is kind of complicated, but bear with me. We'll say it's a tier X. The first time you take it, it's tier 1. The second time you take it is tier 2. The third time you take it is tier 3. And 3 is the max that you can take it.
See, I'm okay with that.
That way it gradually gets more expensive.
I'm okay with that. I can deal with that.
That also fits with the understanding of how... Because Chris, we were trying to create the tier system. That tier system based upon like the way they do the aptitudes for attributes and skills.
Yeah, exactly.
So having it cost more over time.
Or actually, what you could do is what do they call it? Ranks. Just do it as ranks.
It's supposed to be using the word ranks.
We were.
Okay. Yeah,
we were trying to avoid tiers as the name.
Yeah.
I would do rank X for that one, meaning it could go up. In fact, I don't see it being a problem to go all the way up to 5. Let's say. It'll get really expensive. But if you want to invest that far, eventually the game, ignoring 5.
To be fair, Murdoch, going up to 5
fatigue
would also.
I just got a message from the Cream Games. He said, but I gotta head to bed. He caught about 45 minutes of our stream. Gotta head to bed. It was great. I'd be really interested in seeing your feats document and your other suggestion doc.
Okay, perfect. So we know who our viewer was.
Nice.
We got the one viewer we wanted.
Perfect. So when the Cream Games comes back on and checks out this video later, because I fully suspect that he probably will. First, I'd like to apologize for how long this thing's probably going to be, and second, we'll send you the documents. That way, you don't have to sit through the whole thing.
Yeah, we'll definitely send you.
I recommend it because you get to see our thought process, and you can pick and choose from where we started.
There's definitely value because if we go and we think of some idea that we think is great, and then you go, wait, no, they should have stopped 2 moves before this. You can have the clairvoyance to know that we were wrong and should have stopped 2 moves earlier.
Exactly.
I love that, Chris. You go. No, it reminds me of with Peter or somebody. Jesus, Family Guy. One of the stupid shows I watch. Oh, Futurama with Fry. Remember when we talked, Fry, about ending your stories 2 sentences earlier?
Mm-hmm. Well, I was going to say, it reminds me of, like, I hate doing it, is if I take pictures of paintings as I'm painting them. Like, I like doing it because I can see the process, but I hate doing it because eventually, when I go back and look at the pictures, I'm like, I should have stopped right there. Why did I keep going? But, yeah, so I like the idea of tier X for now, or rank X, let's say. For now, let's say that that's definitely going to be a consideration, something like a rank X.
I just want to, just so we don't forget it, Chris, sorry. Because you mentioned it not only as an offhand thing, but I agree, and there's something I was going to bring up eventually. I think we should go up to tier 5, 1 to 5, just like attributes and skills are done. Everything goes from 1 to 5. It mixes perfectly well with the entire system.
I'm okay. So let me preface this by saying I'm okay with going to tier 5. Raise your hand here if building this system is your job. No one raised their fucking hand.
No,
so
it doesn't matter.
Huh?
I said it could be.
It could be.
The point is,
hold on.
Dude,
stop, Jeremy. Stop.
Stop,
Jeremy. Shut up, real quick. When he says it could be, we're all supposed to look into the camera suggestively at the Cream Games. Chris, say it again.
It could be.
Okay.
Look, man. All I'm saying is,
it's like I said, we're his unofficial official guinea pig group. It's okay.
we're trying way too hard for something we're not getting. The only thing we're getting out of it is the fact that
because this is like the most accurate DBZ system we've found, and so we're trying to help it improve.
We want to make sure it stays that way.
So
you know what? I'll put in all the fucking work I can, because this.
And I appreciate that, and I don't mind putting the work into it. What I'm saying is, it's 1 a.m. We are currently live on channel, and I'm sure Drop Dice loves this type of content because I'm sure that Chris is going to get this type of thing. Like, I loved watching your guys' insight into the process and the thoughts of campaign. And, hey, I'm sure that eventually Chris will get told, hey, can you guys whip out these rule stuff in 5th Ed or something and pick apart this shit?
Honestly, I was about to say, yeah.
Ideally, this is what I would like for the channel.
I was going to say, I would love to just go to different systems.
Just a round table on a system?
Pick apart different fucking systems.
Like homebrew ideas, specifics, rules, and things like that.
I think totally cool with it. Don't you work with Copper Jackals?
Yeah, the guys from Absolute Tabletop. I do occasionally. I help them out with the Copper Jackal process in the beginning, and I've helped them with a couple books in the past. And I've been doing a lot of reviews for them lately, which is just great.
Is that where I got this book?
I don't
you don't know what book I'm talking about, but
not
I got
at
a book.
all.
Nope.
Dawn of Worlds?
No. Dawn of Worlds was a game that we were going to try that was available on EN World, I think is where it was.
Is that the one where we get
That was the one where you play as gods and you establish different parts of the
world.
world.
Oh, I like that game. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, that actually is purely what Stratmere was. Remember, we played Dawn of Worlds, we built Stratmere, and now it's becoming evolved into a D&D 5th edition game, which...
Stratmere, the one with the planet that floods?
The moon that floods,
yeah.
Yep.
The floods.
Which actually was featured on the channel and built up in process, and then there's...
You are welcome, anybody that plays in that system, because guess who the guy that had to do all the science background for that?
I think I specifically mentioned you, actually, in the video. I was like, yeah, so I'm not good at this stuff, but this is what happens when a planet floods and also, has all fresh water.
If you play in that system and you get fucked over by all this shit that doesn't make sense, you're welcome. We have... Okay? You're welcome.
Also, Rhino people is Jeremy's fault.
Whoa! You mean
hold on? Did you make Steph's witches outcast?
You mean it was my privilege?
Yes, they do. They exist.
Bitch. At any event.
Witch people were great.
So I don't mind it with the word X, and as far as tiers going to 5, I'm totally okay with it. Here's my issue.
Right now, we don't need it to go that far.
And that's what I'm saying. Ultimately, right now, I don't think there's enough material, enough mechanics in place to manipulate with feats to make it go that far.
Because what I was going to say is Tyrannus, I built him to be tough, at least tough within the parameters of the system, and I'm slowly realizing that there isn't really a tough character in the game right now.
Raccoon!
Like Tyrannus was actually built to be very defensive and stuff like that. So,
human stuff.
So having this feat where I can invest in it and take it a couple times to reduce my fatigue will really get me the feel that I want from that character. So I do like that. That would definitely be something that I would like, because I know at this point I would buy rank 1 with my experience expenditure next time.
All I'm gonna say is, Murdoch, I agree. We don't have enough to make 5 ranks. I'm just saying that it could be in the future.
I agree. I mean, my problem is
for now we can work on the assumption of 3 ranks.
Yeah, I would work under the assumption of 3 ranks for now.
For our testing.
Put it this way: there's Dragon Ball Super is just coming out, and that's going to be huge. People apparently have already seen the fight between Vegeta and Cabe, and that's pissing me off because I can't find it. I'm getting really mad.
Just ignore them until you watch it.
No,
stop trying to ruin it for me.
Yeah, stop it. And apparently the new episode of Pokemon is out. What the fuck?
All sorts of nonsense.
Look, you know, we can get into the Pokemon tabletop another time, okay?
No.
The Unlimited actually is ridiculously overcomplicated, but kind of cool at the same time.
Hey man, you can play a class design.
You can play a breeder.
No, shut up. You can play a class designed to not only tame Pokemon, not catch, tame Pokemon, and ride them. Any Pokemon. So fuck you, man. I'm gonna make my Magikarp rider.
How do you?
As soon as they evolve to Gyarados, though, they're out.
I'm imagining he's got 1 foot on each. It's like 2 Magikarp. He's just riding them like gates.
No,
he rides obviously the giant Magikarp from the Orange Archipelago.
Fuck you, man. I'm gonna get a bunch of rope. I'm gonna tie them to a bunch of Magikarp and do it as a team because that is what it specifically states that you can do.
You get like 12 of them, like it's a dog sled.
Yes.
And you're just on
Magikarp
water
sled.
skis behind them.
Because honestly, that is literally what that is an entire class designed about riding Pokemon.
Anyways.
No. Let's get back to the nonsense here.
Alright.
Oh yeah, that's not.
So let's look at the feats that we currently have here.
We don't have much more.
So you mentioned exceptional attribute, which is going to be a higher rank thing for now.
Oh yeah.
Just because our testing is going to be a rank 3 at top, we'll try rank 3 for now, which basically lets you increase the maximum of 1 rank from 5 to 6. So here's my question about that one. Is that going to increase the cap, but then a player then has to invest to make it?
Yes.
Okay.
I
would change it to increase the cap instead of the maximum.
You are on there. You can type.
Well, I'm just talking to you before I change it.
If you, I mean, it's not so much a change to the core mechanic, so much as the wording to make it more clear.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe I guess maximum works.
Yeah.
I would put a tagline in there that specifically says the player then must spend X amount of XP to go up to that point.
That's fair.
Which we'll have to outline with attributes,
15,
essentially.
It's 15 extra experience to go from one rank to the next. Essentially, whatever the rank 5 cost was for you, plus 15.
Yeah, if you want, I'll come up with an experience system for that.
The exact formula.
I was gonna say we could just write it down right now as rank 5 plus 15 XP, just for our internal notes for right now.
Well, it's generally
we can
around
define
15 per. For following the example of the attributes and skills, it's generally around 15 per.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I don't like it at 15 because I feel
I think
like
that one should be 20 because that one is like a.
I
big
actually feel it should be it should be 30. Because it should be so much harder than your last rank.
I don't think it should be that much though, because you already have to buy the feat, and then you've got to invest an additional 30. That feels like a lot.
But we don't. So, I'll put it this way: we don't have an idea of what the cost structure of feats are yet. We haven't gotten that far.
Yeah, which is what I'm trying to account for.
Honestly,
So,
you have to think about this, the base cost and the end cost, and then how you adjust from each tier per in between.
Yeah, I think we need to come up with feat cost, because if we end up going, you know what, this tier 1 feat will cost 5, tier 2 will cost 10, tier 3 will be 15.
Attributes, skills are 10 different from each other.
Mm-hmm.
Attributes are 15 different.
Mm-hmm.
I mean.
So the question becomes, how powerful do you want feats to be? For reference, let's use D&D. Because most everybody knows D&D.
3rd ed or 5th ed?
Do you want them to feel like 3rd edition, or do you want them to feel like 5th edition?
I was
Because
trying to suggest 5th
edition
edition feats because I like their feats.
I was gonna say they're heavier feats. They're more meaningful.
They make more sense.
So I will put it to you this way: to me, we already have a race, the Arcosians, that get feats cheaper. Number one. Number 2, we have attributes that feats are already tied to, which makes them cheaper. Because the cost of feats are floating, in my opinion, they have to be more 3rd-ish than 5th-ish. Because if they're super powerful feats, like 5th ed, not super powerful, powerful feats that feel featy, that you have really accomplished something to get this feat, and you know, it makes no sense to me as a player, as a creator, as a narrator, to go, you know what, this Arcosian has 3 fucking attributes in it, or 2 attributes, whatever it is in it. So he's got this ultra elite feat for 20 experience.
So Murdoch.
Jeremy, hold on. Jeremy, stop. Hold on. I know you can't go to 3 attributes, but he's got this feat for 20 experience. For you motherfuckers, you've got to pay 70 experience. Like, to me, I would prefer to keep them at a higher cost, quote unquote, but make them third ed. It's somewhere in the middle is essentially what I'm saying.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was gonna say. Is I don't want to have empty feats like you had in third ed.
So I was gonna say, Murdoch, if you want, I have another way of going about this. We take our Kojans, take off the part where it says feats, ignore that, and then go with 5th edition like feats.
You cannot do that.
Why not?
I wouldn't suggest it. I would keep our Kojans as is.
Because then you're fundamentally changing a race that we are not building the system. So I will not fundamentally change a race. I don't mind adding content or modifying existing systems or putting systems in place that modify existing rules, but I will not discard an existing rule to make something of my creation work. Does that make sense?
I agree with that.
I agree. I'm just pointing.
And I appreciate that point of view.
I was gonna say, plus, I actually really like the idea of the aptitudes and the way that the Kojans get basically a free aptitude towards feats. I think it's kind of cool because the feats are kind of powerful, so you can, when you play an Arcosian, your Arcosian may be a little feat heavy, and he can do some random cool stuff.
Because I can tell you right now,
that's where he's invested.
I agree. As of right now, with feats available, Pyre would be built a little bit differently. He would probably be built more feat heavy.
Like, I think what we should do is think about. Let's pull up the skill chart real quick. What's the difference from having?
It's 10 points between skills.
Right, it's 10 points between each rank. Rank 1 to 2, 1 to 2.
That's ranked, but aptitude-wise,
exactly.
Skills, it's 15 per.
It's 15 per. Okay.
So
the lowest is 10.
And that's the same thing
for 2,
for
it's 10. If you have 1, it's 25. 40. Okay. And attributes are stacked the same way, where it's increments of 15
between ranks. Between ranks, attributes are 15. Between aptitudes, attributes are 15. Between ranks, skills are 10. Between aptitudes, skills are 15.
Okay. I feel like purchasing a feat should be just as expensive as purchasing an attribute.
Well, I think it should be as expensive or more than an attribute.
I would say it's going to be more than an attribute. I would put it on the 20 because here's the thing with feats, in my opinion, feats are always.
I should rephrase. Like, if you were to take the attribute chart and shift it over, so 30 would be in the 2 matching attributes rank 1 slot. 30. Just like taking the whole chart, shift it over to 1.
Okay, right now, because attributes have a blank 1 in the first place. You don't fire.
They would start at 30.
So he's saying start at 30, go 45, go to 60, go to 75, then go to 90.
Exactly.
I get that. What I'm saying is 30, 45, 60, maybe a great starting
Murdoch,
point.
Honestly, it should go. It should be 40. The base cost should be 40, not 30. Go up by 10 right there, and then go by 20. Because
that's what I'm saying.
I would go up should by 20. Be expensive.
Yeah, 100%. To me, attributes or aptitudes or attributes, whatever they are built into the system to be upgraded and stuff like that. Feats are fundamentally changing how things function.
Also, the reason why I think feats should be really expensive is because in the end, I don't think people should have 1,000,000 feats. If you have super cheap, people will take 1,000,000 feats. People should have like 4 feats.
Feats to me should break rules.
They should be.
Can we put in lucky, by the way, please?
For
tier 1 lucky, change a die result a day or something.
Oh, so in other words, essentially
the typical anime system feat.
Right now, fate points do that automatically. So you're saying a feat to do that too? A fate point allows you to re-roll your roll.
I think we should have a feat that will allow you to increase your fate pool.
If we do that, it should be highest tier, and only once.
I think the GM has the ability to increase the fate pool. Is that right?
No, it doesn't. Well, I mean, other than the fact that
Hold on. No, I can give you back fate points. Actually, there's no way for me to give you fate points back. The only way for you to get fate is for you to start another day. The only way for you to get fate points, more fate points, is create a new character.
Yeah. If you didn't succeed and you started with 2, the only way that you're ever going to get 3 is to start a new character. I feel like there should be a way to increase that fate pool, because the fate points do a lot of really cool stuff, but at the same time,
also there's a lot of higher end like fusion and all that shit that use fate pools.
I was gonna say, at the same time, the fate pools aren't very big. Is the problem? Like they don't fluctuate. There isn't a way to recover them during the game, and the pool isn't that big to begin with. I think what I would do is, if I was in the GM seat, I would probably do, okay, you finished a story arc. Everyone gets 1 added to their fate pool because you finished the Plum Saga. And then when you guys go and face the Glacier Saga, once that's over, you guys get another fate point.
That would be so. Yes, if I had a final endpoint for this game. As with all games that I run, I don't have an endpoint. I have I have an open world and things you will encounter, because that's just my run style. Like, you are a great storyteller, Chris, and actually I was reading somewhere else today, someone was talking about you and how you're a great storyteller. And I can tell stories, but I prefer the players to help me tell those stories in such a way that I don't like to...
Well, what I would do is, like, in your seat, in your play style, I feel like you could retrospectively think about it and go, you know what, I think you guys finished a story arc.
Which I can do, but at the same time, if you look at Dragon Ball, and you think how many sagas there were, there's the Saiyan Saga, the Vegeta Saga, the Namek Saga, the Ginyu Saga, the Frieza Saga, the Trunks Saga, the Android Saga, the Cell Saga, the Cell Games Saga, the Otherworld Martial Arts, and I forgot Garlic Jr., so we're already at 11. The Otherworld Martial Arts, the Majin Saga, the Buu Saga, the Fusion Saga, oh god, is there the Super Buu Saga? Or the second Buu Saga?
I think it's just Buu
There's
Saga
like
at that point.
Well, I mean, I was
sagas.
gonna say, I get what you're getting at. There's like 20 plus sagas.
Which would mean that if I increase for every saga, that it would get a little out of control.
Maybe not every saga then, like, because there are some sagas where it's just like, I don't know, that was super climactic. Yeah.
Yeah, you met Trucks. Good job. No, I
always
what you're
consider
saying.
the Trunk Saga part of the
I
Android
can
Saga.
totally see giving them a fate point at the end of Frieza. At the end of Cell, definitely.
And I'm okay with
At
that.
the end of Kid Buu,
I mean, do you do that for beating Vegeta? Because when they beat Vegeta, it was a very powerful fight. It was arguably the second best fight in the series. The difference is instead of gaining a fate point, they gained an ally.
Exactly. That's why I'm kind of like, eh.
I would say that
maybe it could be a optional reward for completing a saga. Like, maybe your reward this time is getting some gear or a new discovery about technology that can help you in the long run, or like a time chamber or whatever. But the next saga, when you finish it, because it's Cell, everybody gets a fate point, and that's all they get as a reward at the end. That kind of thing.
I can see that as a narrative telling tool, and I'm sure that any player, if I go, hey, just randomly increase. Like if Tom said, you know what, you guys have beaten Mr. Johnson, finally, which we finally did, Chris. We beat Mr. Johnson.
John Smith.
John Smith.
We beat the Walmart motherfucker.
Yeah, we beat Walmart. If he went, you know what, karma is now on your side. All of you gain an edge. Like that would be fucking awesome, and I don't doubt players would have a problem with that. And I don't have a problem with that as a DM, so that is something that I will take under consideration.
Like I said, I feel like it should be a narrative choice, not an automatic.
Yeah, I think if you write that into mechanics, I think that players will abuse and go, no. Remember this 3-episode issue here where we met Trunks and it kind of was relevant to the story, but not really for a little bit.
Yeah.
That's a saga in and of itself. We gain a fate point. Like,
yeah, I would
narratively.
definitely be like, okay, well, this is. I would include it in the GM section as suggested
I'm about to say, are we starting to come up with a GM?
I'm not writing the GM section tonight.
About
I'm
to,
I was gonna say I'm just not doing it, but I'm going to throw out suggestions for the one-day GM section.
I'm like,
All right, listen, we are not taking this system from him and building it. Like you can put in work too.
I was gonna say I've got enough stuff that I've got to worry about publishing that I don't need to worry about his publishing. And I'm sure Tom doesn't want a second job that doesn't pay him enough.
Yes, though it is rather similar to my current job.
Hey, how are you designing clouds right now?
I'm about to
By the
say,
way, play Guns of Icarus Online.
Doesn't count. Not an actual game.
Tom, we need you to come up with a design for the Nimbus that Goku rides.
You did just give me an idea for Shadowrun, though. If you manage to kill an adult dragon and eat its heart, I may just give you an extra point of edge. Because in Shadowrun, at least in my version of Shadowrun, dragons are the only creatures aside from players that have edge.
Really?
So you're saying if we kill them, we can steal their edge?
Sure, maybe.
Yes. We're gonna gather all the Nates up.
But we need to rebuild Nate. He's gotten all scrawny and shit. We have a character in our Shadowrun game who's played by our friend Nate, who is named Edge. His nickname, his runner name is Edge. And so every time...
Yeah, rather appropriately, from like character creation, he got maximum edge stat.
So I put together our rank chart here. Rank 5 with 0 attributes is hella nasty expensive.
Exactly. I like this. That's good. That's a good starting.
If you have 0,
hold on, you went 15 points. No, we were talking about 20 points increment.
20
Oh,
points.
20 point increments?
Yeah, it's meant to be nasty. Hey, Murdoch, look at that. That's with 15
worse.
points. That's no, 15 per in between, then 20.
I was gonna say, hold on.
rank.
So if we do 15 per in between, where'd my calculator go? Because
okay, Chris, this is what I'm saying.
200.
2 should be 40. 1 should be 45. I mean, it should be
400. If you have 0 attributes with 15 increments in between, it would cost you 500 experience in total to get ranks 1 through 5. If I increase that to 20, it's just going to go up from there.
Well, yes and no. The reason why I say yes and no is because as of right now,
compared to the cost to build fucking Destructo Disc and Kamehameha, it's really not that bad.
Well, you have to understand, Chris. The way we were thinking about it is this: while yes, we're using the aptitude system just like that, you don't have to. Not every feat do you have to build from rank 1 to 5.
Oh, absolutely not.
So
but let's say the fatigue one, which
yeah.
everyone should want to get eventually.
But that's how good it is. It's so good that you should, that if you really because not everybody should have. I mean, while you're right, everybody should have it. At the same time, it should be that expensive to get. Where
not only that, but at that level, reaching up for it all the way up there should be something you go. I really have to reach for this. That's a lot of experience.
It's more of certain. There's going to be certain feats that are just going to be like, let's say a feat is rank 4, so it just costs that much. That's simple as that. Where there are some feats where if you want to essentially with the fatigue one, you're essentially taking them multiple times. But to take multiple times, you have to keep on paying more into it.
Yeah, and remember with this feat, unlike like skills and stuff, I don't have to pay 40, then 60, then 80, then 100, then 120 to get it. I just pay the 120 and I have it.
Yeah.
So 0 aptitudes, 1 through 5. If it became the case, for example, the fatigue feat, you'd be looking at 600 experience to buy all of it.
Well, Chris,
which feels heavy, but not nearly as bad as some of the best attacks.
Chris, I was gonna say, if we're keeping with like the same leveling system, it should be between let's say rank 1. You say it's 40 for 2. Rank 1 for 1 should be 55. It's supposed to be 15 between those and 20 in between the ranks.
Oh, I thought it was 20, 20, 20 all the way across.
Because both skills and aptitude and attributes are both 15 between aptitudes.
Yeah, they're 15 between attribute. Aptitude.
Yeah.
Fucking stop using so many A's.
Okay.
Yeah.
15 between aptitudes or 15 between ranks?
15 between aptitude.
Okay,
20
so rank
between
1
rank.
should read 40, 55, 70.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
And then 20. Then rank. Let's say matching aptitude.
Jeremy, he's got it. He's got it.
Okay.
Once I know the base numbers, it'll work.
Yeah. And then 20 from there each.
Chris, tomorrow, I thought you had a more emergency.
Uh-huh.
Does that make sense?
Yes. I get where you're going.
So if you
It kind of is because I'll be occupied for most of tomorrow as well.
Murdoch.
So I will say this: I can do stuff tomorrow. I can run, but if I run tomorrow, that means for your training session you won't have access to feats.
Okay.
So you and I'd hate to put that decision on your shoulders, but I have to because tomorrow's when you train. If I'm running. Because, I'm not going to run 2 OVAs in a row. I mean, you just don't do that. You have to wait till next year to get a new movie. Did anybody comment, by the way, about the OVA that we did?
No, we have not received a comment on it just yet.
God damn you people, I hate you all.
I tend not to get a lot of comments on videos. Instead, I get a lot of direct comments.
Like to you?
Which because I use my real name on the channel, it's very easy to find me on Facebook. I've got like people that have just sought me out just to talk to me on Facebook, so I tend to get messages like that, which is fine and all, but I sometimes like to see the comments on the channel, so if you're watching this, feel free to comment on the channel.
Comment, like, subscribe.
Please.
Of course. I gotta get in the habit of saying that again.
For every comment you make, Murdoch will say "fuck you."
I mean,
I was gonna say it better not be Murdoch will give the camera a pressed hand because I'm turning off the channel. When that happens.
I mean, to be fair, Chris, I do not want to make them all my friends.
That's true.
But you can show them the world.
Let's see.
You know what?
50.
Being my friend is reserved for special people like Chris and you and Tom. Tom has seen it.
Just so everybody
So
on
by
this channel
new
is aware.
calculations,
Yeah, all those calculations are exactly where I was thinking of.
rank 5, or ranks 1 through 5 with 0 attributes would cost you a total of 550.
It's not bad.
Let's say
it's like less than half the cost for damn Kamehameha, which, let's face it, we're all trying to build towards that.
Honestly, I mean,
dear God.
honestly, at that point,
The Kamehameha isn't that powerful in the game.
Yeah, it is. The explosions that are built in there?
yeah, it's built in with like explosion. It's ridiculous.
Kamehameha
especially-
wave experience is 72 points.
Yeah.
Or not Kamehameha, Soul Bomb is what I meant to say.
Wow.
Oh,
Yeah,
Spirit
that
Bomb. Yeah, that's
Or Spirit
18,000.
That's ridiculous.
Isn't it like 1900 experience or some nonsense?
1875.
Oh, that's because it has fucking armor breaker. Like I told you, anything that takes armor breaker deserves to hurt something.
Speaking of which, something that's going to happen for your training, just as a preview, and I think I've already told you guys, but I'm not sure, and spoiler alert for anybody that pays attention, I'm going to give you guys a team version of the Spirit Bomb. Because aside from Goku, no one was able to ever learn it.
I figured we wouldn't learn Spirit Bomb per se, but like eventually maybe one of us who takes the time to save up like 1,000 damn experience could learn like a single super cool, unique to them move that would be.
And that's what I'm gonna do. That's eventually what I'm gonna do. But for like Spirit Bomb, because that's the ultimate move of the Kais, you're going to learn a team version of it where, for example, one of you is going to have to call for the energy, one is going to have to harness it, and one's going to have to hold it and make the attack.
Okay.
So, like, it'll be a more cinematic way to defeat, like, Glacier when we get there. You know, the end of he's too powerful. The Arcosian goes, all right, guys, I'm going to face him. I've made the call for the energy. It's starting to come. Mura, start collecting it and, Tyrannus, make sure that you fire it when I tell you to.
Mm-hmm.
Like that sort of thing. Like Naruto does with his Rasengan, where he has two others kind of do all the parts of it. I wanted to do that because I don't like fusion attacks in this game, and I thought that would be a really cool way to get you guys together. And if someone wants to spend the experience to straight up learn Spirit Bomb, feel free. But to me, I wanted to give it to you guys more as a narrative tool than a true attack that you'll
The only problem with like spending to get some sort of attack like that is you're terribly gimping yourself just to have this one really cool attack. like the rest of your party has 1,000 experience to spend on other things that you didn't waste it
or
on.
2,000
or 2,000 experience that you didn't waste it on one attack. Like
just don't armor breaker it. Just don't armor breaker it. Seriously, just don't armor breaker it. Piercing 5, man. It'll do you just fine.
Armor breaker, for the record, if you remove armor breaker from it, it's only 94 experience.
Yeah, exactly.
it's
like I said, don't armor breaker. Armor breaking, at that point, like I said, they deserve to get through your defenses, because fuck it. They put 20 times the amount of experience into this shit. But all I was going to say, Murdoch, narratively, I mean, someone should not be able to take Spirit Bomb without, doing something like this. It's just that we should also be able to choose. Now that you just doing this and going to Kinkai and all that, will just give us the option to put points into making a Spirit Bomb if we want to, but we don't have to.
No, you're cinematically going to get it.
I was gonna say, I feel like in all honesty, if you were to say, let's play Dragon Ball Z the show as a game, probably Goku did not spend the experience. It was just like the Kaiser, like, here you go, Spirit Bomb. Because him having that much of an experience difference is crazy out of control. Unless you just happen to gain a shit ton of experience inside the Spirit Realm and it all goes towards your attacks and you can't spend it on your actual stats. In which case, that does make sense.
Not doing it.
I was going to say, I'm not suggesting that that's the case, but if you want to award us a ton of experience points to go into our attacks only.
Oh, Jesus Christ. I've got total XP right now on a Spirit Bomb because I modified what they put in here. I've got it at over 6,000 experience.
I was going to say, I know that some of the math inside there is wrong,
well, yeah,
so I wouldn't be surprised if the Spirit Bomb was wrong.
It did not include for tension. Is the biggest thing. All those attacks did not include for tension.
So right now I've got what he's got as far as damage amp 10, ball type, charge 5. He doesn't have a burst value on here, but I put a burst value of 5 because F you, goddamn Spirit Bomb. Explosive -4 and armor breaker. It's at 4,500 experience.
Well, most of that is because you added burst value on top of that sucker.
If I subtract burst value,
hold on. I'm just trying to think of an armor breaking, 5-shot fucking Spirit Bomb. What the fuck is wrong with you, man? What are you trying to do? Destroy the galaxy?
Is it duh? This is like solar system Spirit Bomb, where like a solar system of Spirit Bombs appears above your hand, and you throw each one of them in turn.
The best thing is, all I can think of is, you know what? Fuck the damage. We're gonna add blinding on that. We're gonna call it Solar Bomb. We're gonna blind the universe.
Blind everyone.
Supernova. And then you charge it for the full 5 rounds. Hypernova. That's really the difference to me from like Kamehameha to Super Kamehameha is how long he charges it. I don't like.
That was something I wanted to address. We had mentioned it before, but like in the show, there are ways that people like improve their attack. That's something that we're going to do because, as written right now, there isn't a way to improve the attacks. I know that the publisher was trying to figure out a way to do that. I believe our discussion
Author,
was.
not publisher.
What's that?
Author, not publisher.
Fair enough. He's both, but.
Publisher gives him legal responsibilities to things.
Yeah, but under Cream Games, he is a publisher. Under his personal name, he is an author.
Don't you legalese me. No one asked for your logic in here. Get out.
Yep, that's what's happening with Point of Inspiration. author and publisher.
Interesting.
Aren't you point of inspiration?
Yes.
Like you said, that's what's happening with Point of Inspiration.
What are you going to publish?
Yes, that's what we're working on right now. Actually, we're working on a 5th edition supplement called Tooth and Nail, or Tooth and Claw, rather. Marquise Hardis and Chelsea Dabbs are the other portions of Point of Inspiration.
So it's like 2 in the morning, and I'm getting really tired. And I think this conversation is winding down a bit, so I'd like to go now.
Okay, I love you.
See you tomorrow? Later today? Question mark.
Yes.
Yes.
All right.
What we had discussed, because I don't know that the viewers are aware of what we had discussed, which was paying the experience difference between, say, burst value 3
hold on, Chris.
and 4 to improve it.
Hold on, Chris. What game is tomorrow? Like I said, if I run, can't do feats because they're not finished yet. If you run, Star Wars.
DBZ-ish.
Okay.
Get later.
I'm still a maybe for tomorrow.
Why is that?
Because I'm gonna be doing something tomorrow.
What are you doing?
Gonna hang out with some old friends.
I'm old and I'm a friend.
People I knew before you. Surprisingly.
You didn't. To my perception, hold on. To my perception of reality, you did not live before me.
You're right, but to mine, I did.
Didn't live.
You cannot prove that to me.
And you cannot prove to me that you.
True. And from his perception, metaphysically true.
You cannot prove it to me, for the record.
I don't have to. You just have to accept.
Fuck you, accept shit.
I'm not saying you're going to, but I'm just saying you have to. There's a difference.
So exceptional attribute, you put here maybe take it only once, so that means I could have exceptional strength or exceptional toughness, but I'll never have both.
Correct.
Okay, just making sure.
I didn't want things to get way out of control with every skill being an 11. I wanted exceptional attribute was made to make someone special at something. Mm-hmm. For example, Berta claiming he's the fastest in the universe, he may have exceptional attribute for agility.
Which, I'm going to go ahead and make that a 5.
Yeah.
Because that was what we had already discussed.
Awesome.
Here you go, Jeremy. If you want, you should not train anything. Save your experience, and then as soon as you get a chance, exceptional attribute into anything, because you'll have 2 ranks, and it'll only be 120 experience for you.
Yeah, but the problem about that is let's say exceptional attribute is to increase the max value that you can go to. I still have to then
buy. You won't get there just yet, but thinking of the future.
I'll live without that for now.
No, he's gonna take Endurance of the Kais.
The problem is because I can't get it damn cheap.
Yeah, Endurance of the Kais is really good. That I would definitely.
Also, do you like how I worded it better? Instead of just being up to 3, it's just up to your rank. That way, it counts for up to rank 5 if you want to keep that.
Yeah. General or key, I would probably do defense actually.
Yeah, I do toughness defense.
I did that. Really?
Yeah.
I hate stacking things like that.
We already discussed it. Nobody natively gets toughness defense. Nobody. Unless you're human or fucking alien and you build into it.
I can tell you someone who natively gets it. Me. I can natively get it.
Wait, do I? Because I
Arcosians.
I don't remember.
I can take it as my third one, toughness, or defense, and then bam, done.
Third attribute?
Everybody gets the third attribute.
You get a third attribute.
Damn it! I fucked up Peaches.
Come on, that's basic. That's all basic. Everybody gets the third fucking aptitude.
Fuck you. I fucked up Peaches.
That's
wonder.
That's been in there since
No
point
wonder
5.
he was so weak.
It's been in there since literally version 5.
I was gonna say, that really explains your power level and your cost expenditure, because you were missing one of your aptitudes. Okay, now it makes sense. I was
Oh
like, I
man.
was sitting here looking at it. I was like, how is he spending this much experience and not?
Look at that.
the
Look at the
entire power
aptitudes.
level?
It says choose third aptitude. Look at it. It says it.
You shut
Yeah.
your work.
I highlighted it. I highlighted it. Look at that.
I was gonna say I have strength, strength, defense, and toughness was my chosen.
I took offense. Oh Jesus. It spent my
Exactly.
experience total to 2,300 to take an aptitude.
Hold on, change it back.
Apparently, I spent 2,300 experience. How is that possible?
You spent before you did your aptitude. You spent 2390. It reduces the amount that you spent by 90.
Oh! I know why. Because it has the key builder attack in there for Spirit Bomb.
You might want to, yeah.
That makes a lot more sense.
You still 75 experience in the key builder. Dude, just change the attack type to none.
Where do I do that?
Under attack type. Right there, where it says ball, change it to none.
All right.
So
It automatically nullifies the entire thing.
So now I only spent 800 experience.
Yeah, you literally got an extra 100 experience back for Peaches. He's dead, but that's not the...
Damn it! Pete, good thing he got away, because now I can increase it.
Peaches comes back stronger than ever.
Peaches is getting another rank in martial arts.
I was
Peaches
gonna say,
is
all you
now
really have
Chip
to do
Yamamoto.
is just build him correctly. You don't actually have to improve his experience at all.
He's now Chip Yamamoto.
God damn it! I got his parry to 8 dice.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what happens when you put 4 ranked in it and have 4 strength. You can knock a bitch around from hitting you. The real problem is once we get feet set, you're probably, and if he's still alive, you're probably going to adjust to him
No, I won't. Why would I adjust him?
because he needs for post.
Oh, he does need riposte. Yeah.
He has 8 fucking parry. He better have fucking riposte.
Did you like the riposte feat?
I was about to say, let's talk about the other feats we've got here. Superior Reflexes is the next one on the list, which we have not ranked. It's got 2 aptitudes, defense, intelligence, which can either evade or parry. Must choose
one or the other.
One or the other multiple times, but divides the dice pool in half for each successive reaction rounded down, i.e. dice pool of 10 divides to 5, then to 2, etc.
If you want to reword that better, go right ahead, because trust me, I know I don't word things the best. Essentially, okay, if you want to hear us actually say it, the way it's supposed to go is you're supposed to choose either. Essentially, it's essentially allowing you to evade multiple times instead of just once. Or parry multiple times, but you must choose one or the other. You can't, like, if you choose parry, you have to continually parry. You can't choose to evade after that again as your second evade or third evade or fourth. You have to continuously parry. Now, let's say it like this. Let's say, you know what, we're going to use Peach's parry of 8, right? His first parry is 8. Let's say he had superior reflexes. Now, I attack. He evades with 8. You attack. He evades with 4.
Then Murrah attacks. He evades with 2.
He can keep on evading. He can parrying, but he must. But you know, he's being attacked multiple times. He's getting weakened by multiple people attacking. So
Well,
it's getting.
His attention is divided, so he's not able to do it. Yeah.
Exactly. So his attention divided. That means his dice pool is divided.
I guess this goes back to my core problem with evade once per round.
This is getting around that.
I don't like evade once per round.
This gets around that.
Yeah.
I guess. But you got to buy a feat to create that exception. I think you should. I think parry once a round is fine. I think you should just be able to evade, period. But whatever.
I personally think there should be an active defense instead. Because I totally love active defenses. However, in this system, I understand why evading is a skill, but I think having to have the defender roll dice in any system clogs up combat.
I'm fine with it. We can play with it. I don't really see anything that we need to change. We understand what the wording is supposed to be.
The point is,
without suggest, then we
without changing, without adding some brand new, systems and all that to do it, we're essentially adding what we want in the game, but as a feat that we were already working on.
Right.
Which is essentially our version of an active defense.
Let's see here. The next one is Repose, which is not ranked. Strength defense. When parrying an attack, you may choose to instead try a counterattack. Parry as normal. If you succeed, you may make a martial arts attack immediately.
Oh, you didn't add the ignore, the no defending.
Yeah, I couldn't remember exactly what it was. He's saying that if you miss,
if you fail the parry, so how you would declare is when you're going for the parry, like for example with fencing, when you try to riposte somebody, if you fail to riposte, you're taking that shot. You're done. Like you've totally fucked it. So you're taking the full.
If you fail your parry, you take
the full attack.
Soak does not apply.
Soak applies. But you don't. Your parry does not knock off successes on the attack. You know what I mean?
Remove.
Nor can your opponent defend against your parry. Or against your riposte. Because they don't have the ability to react.
So, reposing is, as somebody who's fenced, reposing is much harder than parrying. I don't think equaling your parry to equal their attack should necessarily be the right answer. Because we've got Jackass McGee over here who's got 8 parry dice. I only have 5 attack dice. Statistically, he should always meet mine.
But you can only repost once a round. Is something else he didn't post in there.
Right.
Once you repost, you can no longer parry at all during that round.
And you can't mix it. You can't. We're trying to make it so you can't mix it with superior reflexes.
Yes, that's what I was about to say. You can actually because of superior reflexes.
We're trying not to mix it with.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to mix it with. Yeah.
Essentially, what happened? The problem is riposte. Okay, you choose. Let's say someone attacks you, right? At that attack, let's say if you have both. You have to at the time of the reaction, you have to choose to use superior reflexes to do your multiple evades or parries, or riposte, which changes your parry into the riposte action. So you don't. So it would. So you have to choose one or the other at that time. The problem is, I didn't want to put something like that into the descriptions because that should just be an overarching rule, like what Murdoch's doing right now. Like, you must choose which feat to use. If 2 feats conflict, you have to choose that can be used at the same time. One, as of right now, one should be able to work over the other, but not at the same time.
Like that, Chris. I just added a line.
That's how I would do it. Is put you may make no more reactions after attempting.
Like I said, if you guys want, I only typing out initial shit. This is thing to be reworded and changed and fixed. You get the point.
Well, my point still stands. A repose is actually a much harder skill than to parry is.
Which is why you have a feat to do it. Is the entire point. Unless, no, go ahead, continue, sorry.
What I was going to say is that you should have to exceed their test by at least 1, is all. That way, the attacker, if it meets the attacker, it's just a done parry. Good job.
I can see that.
And if like it makes it a little bit more complicated, I'd be like, okay, if you meet their number, it's a parry. Done. The whole attack is neutralized.
It still works like a normal parry at that point. Yep. You're still parrying.
If you exceed by 1, you get to counterattack.
Because you get the initiative of them.
But if you fail by 1 or more, they ignore your parry. It doesn't remove successes.
Well, It
makes it an all or nothing risk, which a repose is.
Yeah, exactly.
You're trying to go out of your way to get an extra attack in.
Yeah, I could agree with that word, that adding extra.
If you'd like to word it better than I can, Chris, because I'm not going to word that as well as you just did.
Yeah, I'll think of a way to do it. For now, I'm just gonna write some shorthand in here.
No, that's fine. That's essentially what I've been doing. I have not been trying to word it perfectly, because perfect wording that's what editing afterwards is for. I know. I'm just trying to make sure our idea is there. We all understand what we're trying to get at, and that we can still test the idea. We don't have to. It doesn't have to be put perfectly.
I've got another idea for a feat.
What's up?
Because I want to make these feats all kind of ridiculously worded.
That's also what I'm trying to do with the. I want with the fucking the names of the feats. I want those feats to be the ones. I want
Scouters are useless.
What?
A feat that makes Scouters useless.
No, it's what Vegeta says to Nappa when he realizes they can sense ki. It essentially would be a passive perception, to take a term from 5th Ed.
Well, there's perception.
Sense.
You can passively do it. Why not?
Go ahead. For ki sense. So essentially, it says that for simply existing, right? As you sense ki, like for right now, Tyrannus actively has to sense ki. Murat actively has to sense ki. They haven't honed the ability. They haven't learned the ability to just, it's always on.
So, taking a feat to do that.
Yeah. I think that'd be a cool tier 1 feat that is kind of flavorful, you know what I mean?
I think tier 1 feat should be just pure. A lot of them would be a lot of flavorful. Not really that strong.
I think a lot of the tier 1s should be like flavor, but minor mechanical stuff inside there. Like to have a passive ki sense. At tier 1, even though let's say I have no aptitudes for it, 70 experience, I feel like that's fair investment.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. To be just like your ki sense becomes passive. So if someone's not,
because most likely I'm not going to have aptitudes in that, but I would consider investing in it.
Yeah, if you're, think about it. If you're just last week, you were like Tyrannus. You never sensed ki on what's his name, on Peaches.
Mm-hmm.
You never directly sensed his ki during the fight. Then he escaped. Well, if you were passively sensing ki, you would have. You say, for example, we get to that point, and you go, I would like to recall what his ki was, and I go, let me see if you sensed his direct ki. Yes, you did. You got that direct sense from the thing.
I think the
now
way
you
I
can
do
go.
It for passive,
that's it.
I think the way I would do it for passive is kind of like more of a feeling than necessarily. Like sensing ki, you can at least get a good idea that they feel like a little bit more powerful than you, a lot more powerful than you.
Yeah.
I feel like it should be a positive negative thing. It's like they're either more powerful than you, about the same level, or less powerful than you. Is all you get out of passive feeling.
I would do it based on your level of ki sensing. So passive to me still means that, like if you go, I have 5 in ki sense, I'm just going to tell you basic. Take a basic, go, all right, so you have a 5 in ki sense, that's 10. You are tier 1, so you succeed on 7 or above. Your average successes is what? I think it's 2 at 10, or with 10 dice at 7 and above.
Something like that. I forget the math. We looked it up when we talked about changing it.
I would say that you're at like 1 success, you're going to fail out positive, negative, higher than that, lower than that. You might get specific failings of evil or whatnot. I think it would increase, the ability would increase as your ability to sense it gets better.
Fair enough.
So, but I think that's a narrative thing, and I think that you would want to put that into the definition of the feat. But did someone write that down or no?
I feel like it should be outlined as a hard mechanic, and we'd have to just kind of figure out how to actually hardline it.
Jeremy, do you want to write that for us?
Sorry.
What?
I was gonna say, are you laughing at my shorthand? Because I really shorthanded that sucker.
No, I'm laughing at a picture I saw. It's essentially a GIF image of a kid who apparently noticed something behind him with behind this curtain. He's standing there. So he goes to check it. He goes to open it, and out of nowhere, Barney the dinosaur says "Alu Akbar," and it shows a picture of an explosion.
Blue Akbar.
Alu Akbar. It was just like I wasn't expecting it because I was like, what
For
the
the
hell?
for the record, congratulations to Brendan, by the way, are in order for you guys, so you're aware. He made top 8 at regionals for Game of Thrones. He
Cool.
came in. He came in. We're thinking he came in 5th.
Nice.
Yeah.
Sorry. So what am I writing now?
Scouters are useless.
Yeah.
Chris, they released the woolly rhino.
4.
Arc.
Oh yeah, did they? I gotta talk to sort of brother-in-law, I guess, and see if he was able to
General?
find the power supply.
Murdoch. Key General.
No, I don't like Key General for that.
But Key Sense is Key General.
Fine.
I'm pretty sure it's Key General. I have to really check. I was just basing on because if it's based specifically on Key Sense, I was trying to base it on be exactly Key Sense.
I mean, that works for me. That's valid. I don't have to like it, but it's valid.
So there's something that I thought about for exceptional attribute.
Key Sense is Key Intelligence.
Ooh, I like that. Yeah.
Exceptional attribute, we've got it right now as a general aptitude, and it's only got 1 aptitude on it.
Yes, just pure general, nothing else. We came up with the decision because, honestly, we could do the same thing, Murdoch, and just have it be just you have the aptitude. If you have the aptitude of the skill, of the aptitude.
Again, it makes it really cheap.
No. We get rid of general, and we keep only one. We still keep 1 aptitude, and only have it be the attribute it is. So, because each one of the attributes itself is also an aptitude.
Well,
that's what I was going to suggest, because my problem with exceptional attribute right now is humans will never ever be able to buy it for the same cost as Sarkosians.
Which is kind of the point. Arcosians are the only ones that can get it at that price.
Yeah.
Yes. It literally creates a niche that only Arcosians can do, and there's nothing else in the game that has a singular race niche.
I agree, but at the same time, it fits the Arcosian perfectly well. But at the same time, like I said, I fully agree that it's kind of a problem that they would be the only ones who
I'm looking at it from a game theorist standpoint.
No. Like I said, I agree that it's stupid that they would be they're the only ones who have their own little niche. Where at the same time, from who understands Arcosians enough, it fits Arcosians very well. So
what I'm getting at is like skills. Humans get skills faster than anybody else. There is no skill that just says single attribute general only.
Yeah.
Which would statistically mean that humans get it the best. Period. The humans are the absolute best at this one skill. Arcosians already get things to increase their attributes and things like that, so I don't think making the feat cheaper for them only is a good way to go. What I would say for exceptional attribute was general, and then if you have that attribute that you're looking to buy. I don't know how we'd phrase that. Like if you wanted toughness to become your 1 to go to 6, having an aptitude in toughness will make it cheaper for you. So maybe put in parentheses like aptitude in selected attribute.
So you're saying that would allow for...
We talked about that earlier, and again, it was one of those things that I was kind of like, well, obviously, if you're picking that, you probably have an aptitude in that ability.
You probably do.
as
you don't
what
necessarily
a
have
lot
to.
of people, as what a lot of races would do in the first place. Go for stuff that they have aptitude in the first place.
Hmm.
What it allows is for people like, let's say, Arcosians, who don't have that aptitude because they have weird aptitudes, to do that anyways, because fuck that, they're Arcosian.
So what do Arcosians get for aptitudes?
Arcosians specifically get. I think I'd remember this off the top of my head, but I don't.
I mean,
We get
most likely the
agility
players
and
want to select
charisma.
the one they want eventually.
Agility and charisma.
Agility, charisma, and then your selection one. And most likely, whatever they're taking an exceptional attribute is probably what they're going to select their third attribute match.
Correct.
But it means let's say that I took agility and I have key as my third aptitude. But let's say I want let's say even though I have my agility at 5 and all that, I want one of my others to be the ones I don't have at 6.
If I was an Arcosian, I wouldn't do exceptional attribute in something that I have an attribute in because I already make the feat cheaper.
Yeah, no, I honestly would. You're right. No, I wouldn't.
Which.
But that's planning your build out way more than.
I guess it doesn't really take any thought though. Like once you see how
to be fair, I built mine before we even came up with this. So there's one thing.
Well, this is what I'm saying. Is let's say I built Tyrannus and he has what was it that Arcosians get?
It's called prodigious skill. Arcosians
not prodigious skill. They're attributes. They get what speed and what?
Agility, charisma.
Agility, charisma.
Agility, charisma. Okay, so let's say I have agility, charisma. I'm building an Arcosian. It's roughly the same as Tyrannus. He's supposed to be a tough martial arts guy. I would take toughness as my other aptitude.
Yeah.
Or actually, I would probably take strength as my other aptitude because ideally I want him to be a tough guy. And then when it came time to choose that feat, because I can only choose it once, I would then choose toughness.
Yeah, go for something that you don't already have.
Because it would then make my strength cheaper in the long run, and then I could pump that up later. The benefit to doing it, however, the other way, which is investing the feat into the thing that you have the attribute in, is it makes the feat cheaper and it makes the cost of increasing the stat cheaper, which in the long run I don't think is necessarily a problem.
I mean, when you look at it, though, everybody's going to have 2 attributes in it because general isn't everybody has an attribute. Which is my thing. So everybody always has 2 in that. So if...
Because who's going to waste that one feat that they're going to use once on something that they don't already have other than maybe an Arcosian?
Well, no. Even with general, what I'm saying is general and the feat they choose, everybody's got 1 attribute in it, which means if you're going for that, aside from an Arcosian, everybody's going to have 2 in it, and even
also,
Arcosians are going to have 2 in it.
Let's look at the skill tree of what has general in it. Only a few things have general in the skills. That would be perception, search. Let's see what else. Acrobatics. Fly.
I think general is there to establish that
knowledge.
Those are things that are easier to learn. Is how I look at it.
Yeah, exactly. The things that they expect
Generally,
everybody
learning to perceive
have.
and notice things is easier than learning martial arts.
Yeah, exactly. Which
says you.
I was going to say the military will argue with you on that one, but because there's a difference between standing watch and watching things.
Yes. Well, that's the difference between guard duty and signet.
Yes.
We don't know what signet is.
Let's see here.
Signet doesn't exist. The U.S. doesn't do that.
I don't know what the hell you're talking about, so I'm just gonna keep on going, doing other stuff.
Signal intelligence. It's a branch of MI.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Let's see here. I'm trying to think of a good way to do it. I don't think it should be general. I think it actually should be.
I don't think it should be general either.
I think one of the aptitudes
should be.
If you want to just make it one aptitude, the one aptitude required should be the aptitude for the attribute.
And I'm okay with that too. I'm okay with that. I just don't want everybody having 2 attributes in it. And I couldn't think of any one other than general or the aptitude that it would be giving you to give it. You know what I mean? To me, that ability just seems so
Murdoch,
powerful.
I have
extra dice.
one other suggestion for this. We just get rid of the aptitude on that one completely. Nobody has an advantage on that specific feat. Because it's so general of a feat. I'm just throwing the idea out there.
Well, that's why I was saying if you're gonna do one
that's
aptitude,
not a bad idea either.
I was gonna say if you're gonna do one aptitude, I still think an aptitude should matter in it. I think it should be one aptitude for the attribute you intend to increase. No general, just like if I'm going for toughness, if I have toughness, I can make it a little cheaper. But other than that, it's gonna cost me.
But at the same time, again, that brings it back to... it back to essentially our Arcosians being the only ones who get 2 out of that.
Yes.
To me, though, I look at it...
That comes back to a problem that I have with it.
To me, I look at it as... And for the argument of no attributes to it, because I like that idea as well, is that you are bypassing all the limits of life.
You're going above and beyond what it's supposed to be. So there is no aptitude to it that you
you're
just
becoming
do.
straight up.
Here's kind of a good thing about doing no attributes. Technically, the Arcosian ability doesn't work with it then.
Nope, it doesn't. Nobody gets with no aptitude on it. Nobody gets a bonus. It's a straight cost.
None, and then in the feat, put a specific line in there that says the Arcosian special shit ass does not apply to this feat.
Because it just runs on the zero aptitude cost list. As if
Let me look at something because this was something else that I thought about. How does this work?
Poorly?
No, I was looking at full potential. That's a permanent thing when it happens, though, isn't it?
No. It's a transformation.
With no limit on it and no key drain.
Correct.
So, permanent.
No.
I was going to say, from a narrator standpoint, no. From a statistical standpoint, yes.
I refuse to accept your logic.
Same with awakened potential, actually.
I'm aware, that's why I put a tension limit on it. Because Mama didn't raise no fool.
I was going to say...
Hey, man, Mama also said knock you out.
And technically, to be honest, awakened potential, unleashed potential, whatever it is there, the first one.
Awaken, yeah.
Awaken, that should have that should just be permanent, whereas
full potential unlock.
Full potential should be the transformation.
Yeah, I was gonna say Awoken. I thought was permanent in the show was the deal. Like when it happened, it happened.
Yeah, that's what I always thought it was a permanent thing. Also,
it is.
I mean, technically, the way it's written, you could do it as a permanent thing because it's got no key drain, no penalties. You could just be like, it's on. Fuck everybody.
Right. I mean, it's same thing with our coach.
With full unlocked, yeah. Well, what I was gonna say is
Well, no, because our Arcosians have a tension limit.
That's right. The tension limit also changed that. Originally, they could be just on forever.
Yep.
Yeah, you're right.
And then someone got the bright idea to say no.
I mean, is there tension limits for transformations? Because I didn't see anything.
Yep.
Oh yeah. All my Arcosian transformations have tension limits.
I wonder how he's going to deal with the new.
Where does it say that? Because I'm looking for it right now.
I can't wait to see how he deals with.
Oh, I'm looking at friggin' Cell here.
No, you can look at it in the fucking character builder, man. I put in I did it.
Right, we put in tension limits, but I mean, as written in the game, there's no
Yes,
Yes,
there
there
is.
is.
That I based it upon the game.
Maximum tension of 20 in this transformation. Fifth form doesn't have one. Maximum tension of 20. Maximum
That's right.
15.
Fifth form is a permanent transformation, Murdoch. It could be. It specifically has. It at least in the game system. It
Yeah,
doesn't.
no key drain.
There's no key drain and no tension.
Mm-hmm.
Just letting you know that fifth form did
Yeah,
not.
technically you could be like, I go to
final
fifth form.
Don't worry about it because essentially I should never be getting fifth form in the first place.
Oh, you mean fifth form? Fifth form.
Fifth form,
Yeah.
like Cooler's fifth form.
Yeah.
That's Cooler.
I mean,
Now-
again, to be fair, second form should give you increased strength. Third form should give you increased
I mean,
agility.
I agree. They should be giving me some more stuff, but they're not. As of right
And
now,
final form.
that's also
final
part of the
form should
reason
give
why.
you-
That's part of the reason why I won't just go straight to final form and shit like that. Because as of right now, the only thing that's good about the transformations, they each considered a healing, a full heal for me. That's my only reason for using them right now.
I was going to say, because what you could do for exceptional attribute is require, like, awoken potential or something like that, like one of the transformations. But it's hard to say that because I don't think any GM's going to give an Arcosian awoken potential.
Don't give me awoken potential. Trust me on this.
Like-
you don't really need it.
I was going to say,
No,
they don't really need it. And I feel like it would be weird to basically be like, oh, well, you have to do this if you want this feat. So a GM has to be like, okay, well, to be fair to the Arcosian, let's awaken his potential so that he can take that feat.
You can also just give me, golden form too. Well, we're just gonna get that over with.
I mean, I'm going to give you golden form, but it's not going to be golden form as you know it.
Give me silver form.
It's going to be a different color for you.
Bronze form.
Oh,
No, well, golden form is for the Frieza clan.
pewter was what I was going to go with.
I'm not.
Oh.
I'm not opposed.
Tungsten.
What about Vegemite?
No. Dolomite, baby!
Yes, I'm okay. I'll be okay with Dolomite.
Dolomite form. He could
I'm
take
also okay with nickel because I'm 5% nickel.
40% nickel.
Is it 40%?
He's 40% everything.
Yes. Anytime he says he's something, it's always like, I'm 40% Lola. I think there's only one time when he says...
horseshoes.
Yeah, I was gonna say I think there's only one time where he says a lesser percent, and it's about like I think it's the Dolomite where he goes I'm 2%
Hold
or
on.
something like that.
I got this, right? What is Bender physically construct out of? He mentioned several times that he is, some percentage of whatever.
I was gonna say I know I looked it up one time and it was like
This is the
like
list of Bender's claims composition. 40% zinc, 40% titanium, 30% iron, 40% dolomite, 40% lead, 40, and apparently someone else claimed that he was also made of 40% chromium, 40% horseshoes, 40% wire, 40% scrap metal. It's always 40%.
Yeah,
I
he's
was gonna say, did
40%.
somebody calculate it at the end and say he was like 670?
Oh my god, that's right! Into the Wild Green Yonder, he mentioned he was 40% luck.
Yep. I'm 40% luck.
This is actually a well-discussed thing online right now because I'm seeing like so many discussions about what he is.
You did not know that?
No, it's just like it's one of those things I just didn't think about.
That's why. That's one of the things that's why does the internet do what the internet does? Fuck you. It's the internet.
Okay. I can't really think of any feats additionally at the moment.
I can. I have a bunch.
Okay.
But I'm in the middle of feeding dinos on Arc, so give me half a second to switch tabs. Okay. So did we get the key sense one in there?
So Murdoch, this is for you, Murdoch. That's all for you, man.
What is this? 40% dolomite, 40% titanium.
That's right. He
Yeah,
has
the 0.04% nickel impurity. It's what makes him him. If you didn't know. 60% storage space. I didn't know that one. 40% zinc. 40% chromium. 40% scrap metal. 30% iron. 40% luck/horseshoes.
He's 330.04% bender.
Bender, yes. Bender is great. Bender is great.
I figured
Bender,
you'd like that
Bender,
image
Bender,
very much.
Bender. Yes. I'm 40% luck. How are you 40% luck? Well, my iron came from a horseshoe factory. Or horseshoes.
I hate micro groups on Facebook.
What the fuck are micro groups?
So there's like the one-shot group, and then there's a group for every system.
Oh, fuck
and
that.
I always get invited to these system-specific groups by other people, and I'm just like, I get that you guys like having the system because it's a place to discuss that system and all, but I don't need to go to like...
This is why you have different discussion threads on one giant group.
That's what I would prefer, but Facebook doesn't do that, and people want to use Facebook.
Well, they used to. They used to.
Yeah, they used to. This is what 4chan TG thread
Google
is.
groups are far superior, and nobody on Facebook will listen to me.
Google groups are amazing. For the record.
They actually
are superior.
Well, yeah, they really are.
Or Google communities, whatever they are.
Yeah.
But they're fucking awesome. I love them.
Because
then you can
even do the one-shot group and say do Lamentations of the Flame Princess. Look, I got a little tab I can click on over there.
And even better, right? You can subscribe to
specific topics.
Yeah, which I love. Because I'm part of like 70 billion communities, but I only subscribe for one topic. Like, for example, DC Comics. I'm only there for Wonder Woman porn. You know.
Fair enough.
Like the rest of us.
Exactly.
There are other things that thing gets used for?
No, just Wonder Woman. Oh, Harley Quinn porn. But Harley Quinn really doesn't do it for me.
Fair enough.
See, but what about Wonder Woman and Harley Quinn?
Again, is Wonder Woman naked there?
Yes.
Then, duh.
He likes them squared off, brawny man-like shoulders.
He likes his women strong.
I like my women 40% Amazon.
All right, so scatters are useless was the last thing that we did.
Yeah. Did we get that in there?
Yeah.
Yeah, we just put passive sense key because we're shorthanding the crap out of this.
That's not shorthand. That's exactly how we should write. Passively sense key.
I'm adding a feat that says Chris is tired and we'll shorthand.
Do you want to just call it for now and pick it up tomorrow?
No, I was going to say I'm fine with
Jeremy's
another time, and we could do another discussion. I just don't want 6 hours of video of us trying to figure this out, me half asleep.
Well, I'm just going to say this. If Jeremy's not sure he's going to be around tomorrow, I don't want to run another OVA. So I just don't know if I'm... So let's just not run tomorrow, and we can just do this instead.
That's fine.
Is that fair, Jeremy?
I just don't know when I'll be back.
That way you don't feel compelled or have to rush home.
Yeah, I mean I'm doing stuff like earlier in the day, like after.
Yeah, but this way nobody feels compelled to rush home. Yeah. We don't have to worry about anything.
I wasn't compelled to rush home.
Jeremy, I know you wouldn't be, but a normal fucking person would be.
I know what you mean.
I love that you don't take not being normal.
Honestly, I think everybody else is weird, but that's just me.
I love you, Jeremy. You're amazing.
Jeremy, don't make me use an alligator chip clip on you.
Too bad. I have my crocodile chip. Nope.
All right.
Hold on.
From everybody here at Drop Dice.
I have nothing to fight you with right now. God damn it.
Chris, come on. I'm going to say it.
As always, like, comment, subscribe, and we will see you guys at the gaming table.
I hate you all.
No, you don't.
It's true.